Chapter 954. That's because my nephew's admiration for Miss June is too deep. However, if Miss June is really unwilling, then let's forget about it. If Miss June has something to do, she can leave first. Qian Hongxiao said anxiously, "Uncle, how can you let her go?" Qian Feng coldly stared, and Qian Hongxiao immediately did not dare to speak. Only after Mayan left Yin Meng Hall did Qian Hongxiao anxiously say, "Uncle, how can you let her go? You clearly said that you would definitely let me marry this woman." Qian Feng coldly glanced at her and slowly said, "I have seen the strength of Min Lu Jie's Ning family head, Ning Zongxiang. He is a true half-step golden core, and his true strength is in no way inferior to your eldest senior brother. But such an expert was actually killed by that little girl. In the trial grounds, in her battle with Qinizhou, although I couldn't tell what method she used to win, just from Qinizhou's reverence for her, it's obvious how powerful she is. Such a peerless genius, if given time, will definitely grow into an extraordinary figure." Qian Hongxiao listened to Qian Feng's nonsensical words, and could not help but say anxiously, "Uncle, why do you keep praising her? No matter how powerful she is, she's still a woman. As a woman, shouldn't her most important duty be to stay at home and serve her husband? As long as your nephew gets this woman, your nephew can guarantee that she will be obedient, and will not dare to defy nephew and uncle." Qian Feng faintly glanced at him, and his eyes had a trace of disdain for iron not becoming steel. If not for the fact that his nephew was not good enough, Mayan might have agreed to marry him. But no matter what, now that they were like fire and water, he had no choice but to do it. For a person like Mayan, we can either make her one of us, or completely destroy her. For such a disaster, I have to nip it in the cradle no matter what. I can't let her join my enemies after entering the Leaf Fire sect, and become a thorn in my side. When Qian Hongxiao heard this, his eyes immediately lit up. Did this mean that uncle was willing to help him destroy Mayan? Since such a peerless genius was ruined, then he could do whatever he wanted with him and trample on him. Qian Hongxiao was so excited that his voice was trembling. "Uncle, I know you treat me the best. Uncle, what do you think we should do?" Qian Feng flipped his wrist, and a thin ancient book with a dark yellow edge appeared in his palm. Qian Hongxiao took it curiously. He found 4 words written on the cover: Great Spirit Absorbing Technique. "Uncle, this is..." Qian Feng's gaze was terrifyingly cold, and his voice was heavy, as if he was imprisoning a giant beast. "This is a cultivation method that I obtained when I killed a devil cult disciple in my early years. According to the method recorded on it, as long as a man and a woman use this technique during intercourse, they would be able to take away the spirit root from the other party. This technique is extremely simple to cultivate, but it's too sinister and goes against karma, so I never thought of taking it out. But now that June Mayan doesn't know what's good for her, for you, uncle has no choice but to..." Qian Hongxiao had only heard the first few sentences, but he was already so excited that his whole body was trembling, and his face was red. As for Qian Feng's later words, "too sinister and goes against karma," he did not hear a single word. His mind was only filled with thoughts of using the great spirit-absorbing technique to take away the other party's spirit root. Chapter 955. If he could seize it, then he would have a meteoric rise and his cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. It would no longer be a dream. June Mayan, on the other hand, has no spirit root, no cultivation. From then on, she was just a plaything for him to bully and humiliate as he pleased. After being excited for a while, Qian Hongxiao suddenly thought of something. "But uncle, you also know that June Mayan is extremely strong. If your nephew wants to use force on her, I'm afraid, useless thing." Qian Feng looked at him with disdain. "With me here, what are you worried about? No matter what, I'm still a core formation cultivator. No matter how powerful that June Mayan is, could it be that she can escape from my grasp? Qian Hongxiao was overjoyed and repeatedly asked, "Uncle, do you have any brilliant plan?" Qian Fang's eyes narrowed slightly. His left hand stroked his beard while his right hand picked up the wine cup that Mu Yan had just drunk from. He sneered, "That June Mu Yan is quite courageous, but she's still a little girl after all. Furthermore, she's in my dream hole. Even if she drank the wine that I've mixed with medicine, she wouldn't be able to detect it at all." Qian Hongxiao's eyes widened in shock. "Uncle, did you drug the wine?" "Ha, if I wasn't fully prepared, would I have a showdown with her?" Qian Feng sneered, "This wine contains the 1,000-mile intoxication, which can make a cultivator's limbs weak for a short period of time and make it impossible to circulate spiritual power. It will take effect after 2 hours, and after that, you can do whatever you want for at least 24 hours. Qian Hongxiao immediately smiled wretchedly. The older the ginger, the spicier. "Uncle, you're really amazing. When I get what I want, I will definitely not forget Uncle's kindness." However, Qian Feng didn't get carried away. Instead, he calmly said, "This June Mayan's background is mysterious, and her methods are strange and varied. Even with the 1,000 miles drunk, it's not safe. In a while, I will use the void art to lock down her tent and ensure that the people inside cannot use Ling power." "Good, good. Uncle is really thoughtful." Qian Hongxiao wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth. "Tonight, I can do whatever I want with that bitch. When I wake up tomorrow, let's see how that slut can still be so arrogant towards me, ha ha ha." Under the night sky of Wufing Square, Lu Ruoxuan stood in a corner not far from the Yinmeng Palace, quietly weeping. The mountain-breaking sex Jiang Dahai walked out of the Yin Dream Palace. Hearing the muffled cries of a girl, he couldn't help but frown and yell, "Who is it?" Lu Ruoxuan turned around, revealing a small, pale face full of tears. Seeing that it was Jiang Dahai who came out, she immediately trembled as if she was frightened. She timidly said with a sobbing voice, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." As soon as Jiang Dahai saw her little white flower-like face, a feeling of pity immediately welled up in his heart. At the same time, he recalled her name. "You are Lu Ruoxuan of the Bright Moon sect." "It's me." Wiping away her tears, Lu Ruoxuan forced a smile and saluted Jiang Dahai, "Greetings, Senior Jiang." Jiang Dahai saw that she was like a willow branch in the wind, looking delicate and timid, and his voice couldn't help but soften a little. "It's so late, why are you crying here alone?" Lu Ruoxuan's tears fell again. I didn't do well on the test, I failed mother's expectations, woo-woo." Jiang Dahai naturally knew about Lu Ruoxuan's results. Chapter 956. At that time, he felt that June Mayan was too overbearing. Why couldn't he show mercy to such a weak and helpless little girl? Now that he saw Lu Ruoxuan crying so wholeheartedly, he felt even more pity for her. "In fact, I have seen your talent, and it is extremely good. In the end, it was because someone was cruel and merciless and didn't let you have an easy time." Lu Ruoxuan wiped her tears and said, "I don't blame Miss June, she is not that bad. It's my own bad luck. Even though I worked so hard, I didn't have a good ending in the end." Woo woo woo. Jiang Dahai saw that her eyes were red from crying and her pitiful appearance. His blood surged in his heart and he blurted out, "If you're willing, why don't you worship me directly?" Really? Senior Jiang, are you really willing to accept me as your disciple?" Lu Ruoxuan suddenly raised her head and looked at Jiang Dahai with sparkling eyes. After saying that, Jiang Dahai regretted it a little. First of all, every sex selection had its own rules and regulations. Luck was also a form of strength. Therefore, regardless of the reason for their poor performance in the selection, the major sects had a convention that they could not make an exception and enroll them. Otherwise, if one sect broke the rules, wouldn't every sect be able to break the rules in the future? Once this opening was opened, there would be cultivators from wealthy families who bribed the elders with ling weapons and medicinal pills. Wouldn't that directly squeeze out the spots of others? At that time, what would happen to the prestige of the major sects? What's more, Jiang Dahai just said that he wanted Lu Ruoxuan to become his disciple. At the very least, he would be an in-name disciple. But every sect elder had a limited number of direct disciples and in-name disciples under their name. Jiang Dahai wanted to promote his trusted aides and give preferential treatment to the Jiang family. He should not have been able to spare a spot for Lu Ruoxuan. However, just as he was about to go back on his word, Lu Ruoxuan immediately hugged his arm, her small face revealing a bright smile. "Master, is Ruoxuan really so lucky to be able to take you as my disciple? Shang'er isn't dreaming, right?" Jiang Dahai looked at her flower-like smile and swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. With a gentle smile, he nodded and said, "Of course it's true. From now on, you are my disciple. Don't cry anymore. Go back and rest." As he spoke, he stroked Lu Ruoxuan's head and turned around to return to the Yin Dream Palace. Looking at Jiang Dahai's departing figure, the innocent smile on Lu Ruoxuan's face slowly disappeared. After a moment of indifference, she slowly hung it again. She was right to wait here. Although the mountain-breaking sect was not the best sect, it was still much better than the mysterious space sect, which was ranked last. Finally, she could break free from Min Lu Jia and Bright Moon sect, and enter a large sect. Furthermore, he had directly become Jiang Dahai's disciple. The fortune that the heavens had given her had never been taken back. Lu Ruoxuan chuckled and was about to return to her tent. Suddenly, a commotion came from the entrance of Yin Mang Hole. They were the elite disciples brought by the sect elders, and they were talking to a young girl who walked out of the hole. "Ah, that's June Mayan. She's truly a peerless beauty. Not only does she have good looks, she also has great strength. If not, why would a Leaf Fire sect elder personally invite her?" Chapter 957. Ha ha ha, stop dreaming. Although your strength is not bad, you are still far from that June Mayan. You might not even be comparable to Chini Zhou. How can the Leaf Fire sect bear to marry such a treasure to your five-spirit sect? Sigh, who do you think will be lucky enough to marry such a stunning beauty? Hee, you should be asking who has the ability to subdue this absolute beauty. Have you forgotten June Mayan's performance in the training field? How can an ordinary man marry such a monster? Lu Ruoxuan listens to the discussions of the elite disciples in front of Yin Mang Hall as she watches Mayan's receding figure. The original joyful smile on his face gradually disappeared. She lowered her head in desolation and clenched her fists tightly. She turned around and walked towards the tent where the Bright Moon sect was. Just as he walked into the area where the Bright Moon sect had set up their tents, he heard a commotion in the western corner. Lu Ruoxuan couldn't help but walk over and ask, "What's wrong?" The boy, who was caught by Lu Ruoxuan, shook his head and said, "What else could it be? Wasn't it all because of Senior Sister Chin?" Even though he was tied up, he was like a mad dog that wanted to bite people. She kept shouting that she wanted to tear Mayan to shreds. Alas, I think this Senior Sister Chin has suffered too much stimulation. Also, it's so scary that I don't even dare to send food in. Lu Ruoxuan's eyes flickered. She took the lunchbox from the child's hand and said softly, "I'll send it in for you. After all, she's my senior sister. I'm worried about her, so I want to go and see her." "Really?" Xiao Tong said gratefully, "Senior Martial Sister Lu, you are really too kind. No wonder my fellow apprentices like you so much." Lu Ruoxuan smiled shyly and carried the food box into the tent. When Chen Xiuxiu saw Lu Ruoxuan, she immediately stared at her with red eyes. "Bitch, what are you doing here? I'm going to bite you to death, bite you to death." Lu Ruoxuan was so scared that she took a step back. A layer of mist appeared in her eyes. "Senior sister, don't be like this. I'm scared. I'm here to bring you food." Chen Xiuxiu, on the other hand, kept yelling and cursing. She wanted to rush over like a madman. Her mouth curses Lu Ruoxuan for a while, and Mayan for a while. Lu Ruoxuan was so scared that she didn't dare to take a step forward. He hurriedly took out a few talismans and burned them, using the white light of healing to envelop Chen Xiuxiu. After an unknown amount of time, Lu Ruoxuan's talismans were all used up. She felt extremely distressed. She had spent more than half a month to draw these talismans, and there were only a dozen of them in total. Now, it was all wasted on Chen Xiuxiu. However, he didn't know if the dozens of talismans had any effect. The red light in Chen Xiuxiu's eyes faded a little, and her consciousness seemed to have returned. She shook her head and struggled to get up, only to find that she was tied up. "What's going on? Why did you tie me up?" Lu Ruoxuan cautiously took a few steps forward and said, "Senior sister, have you forgotten? After you left the training grounds, you suddenly became hysterical and went around biting people. Those senior and junior brothers who were bitten by you are now lying on the bed. They have lost all their spiritual energy and are unable to move. They are like cripples, woo." Hearing Lu Ruoxuan's words, Chen Xiuxiu's eyes flashed with joy. However, she quickly concealed her gloating hatred and pretended to be distressed and frightened. "How could this be? I can't remember anything. Why did this happen?" Chapter 958. Chen Xiuxiu is horrified. Her eyes widen as she says in alarm, "Could it be that the medicine wasn't just to scare me, but was it really poison? If it wasn't poison, how could Luo and the others become like that after being bitten by you?" Lu Ruoxuan cries, "Senior brothers and the others are so pitiful, but senior sister is even more pitiful. You've been harmed by that June Mayan again and again. If the effects of the medicine continue to flare up, senior sister, will you completely lose your mind, just like those people from the Setting Sun sect?" Recalling that after the second round of assessment, Yun Xiang and the others were still leading her to the point of no longer being human, Chen Xiuxiu shudders. No, I don't want to become a fool, I absolutely don't want to." She looks at Lu Ruoxuan in horror. "Little junior sister, you're the kindest, please let me go, okay? I don't want to wait for death here." Lu Ruoxuan repeatedly shakes her head. No. Senior brothers said that they can't let you go. I know I was wrong, I will never bite anyone again. In fact, I'm also being controlled by the medicine, I don't want to hurt my fellow disciples." Chen Xiuxiu cries, snot and tears overflowing, "Little junior sister, I just want to ask that June Mayan for the antidote. If she won't give it to me, I will perish together with that slut. Little junior sister, do a good deed and let me go." Lu Ruoxuan's small face is full of entanglement and hesitation. Under Chen Xiuxiu's pitiful pleading, she finally couldn't bear it and reaches out to untie the rope on her body. "What are you doing?" Suddenly, a stern shout comes from outside the tent. Lu Ruoxuan turns around in alarm and sees Wu Fangyi standing outside the tent, looking at them with a frosty expression. At this time, the rope on Chen Xiuxiu has already been untied. When she sees Wu Fangyi looking at her with an unkind expression, she immediately screams and rushes out. Wu Fangyi staggers when she bumps into her, but it's already too late to stop her. "Lu Ruoxuan, what are you doing? Why did you let Chen Xiuxiu go?" Wu Fangyi glared at Lu Ruoxuan with an ugly expression. Lu Ruomin was on the verge of tears as she said, "I'm sorry senior sister, I didn't do it on purpose, but senior sister Chen cried so miserably, and she said that she knew she was wrong. She was obviously framed by June Mayan's medicine, that's why she bit people and harmed the other senior brothers. I felt that senior sister Chen was very pitiful, and she kept begging me, so I let her go. Wu Fangyi's chest heaved with anger. For the first time, she felt resentment towards this so-called pure and kind junior sister that she couldn't vent out. You pity Chen Xiuxiu, but who will pity those infected by her? It's not like we're going to die. If Chen Xiuxiu wants to die, we'll tie her up for her own good. If she runs out and bites someone, causing others to end up like senior brother Luo and the others, do you think she can still live? You're not trying to save her. You're trying to kill her, aren't you? No, it's not like that, I don't think so. Lu Ruoxuan says as she shakes her head, her frail body on the verge of collapse. Tears fall from her eyes. I'm sorry senior sister, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean it, boo-hoo. Wu Fangyi used to think that Lu Ruoxuan was pitiful when she heard her cry, but right now, she only feels extremely annoyed. Besides crying and pretending to be pitiful, what else can this woman do? She raises her hand, wanting to give Lu Ruoxuan a slap, but halfway, Pang Yunfei stops her. Are you crazy? You actually dare to hit Ruo, oh. Chapter 959. Wu Fangyi angrily says, why don't you ask your good Ju what she did? She actually let Chen Xiuxiu go. Didn't she think about the consequences if Chen Xiuxiu ran out and bit someone else? Lu Ruoxuan is out of breath from crying in Pang Yunfei's arms. I'm sorry, I really didn't mean it, but senior sister Chen cried so hard, I really couldn't bear it. It's all right, Ju, I know you're too kind. Pang Yunfei repeatedly comforts her, we'll mobilize everyone in the Mingyue sect to find Chen Xiuxiu. Wu Fangyi, I'm warning you, don't bully Ju, as you please just because you're the senior sister. If I see you do anything to Ju, again, don't blame me for being impolite. Wu Fangyi only feels a sweetness in her throat, almost fainting from anger. It's already past Su hour at night, and the entire windless square should be quiet by now. But everyone in the Mingyue sect has been mobilized to look for the escaped Chen Xiuxiu. It's not that they're concerned about Chen Xiuxiu's safety, but if Chen Xiuxiu really bites someone else, she'll end up like senior brother Luo. Perhaps the entire Mingyue sect will be implicated. Lu Ruoxuan's mind is filled with countless thoughts, her expression changing several times. Finally, she avoids Pang Yunfei and quietly goes to Mayan's tent. She doesn't want to admit that she let Chen Xiuxiu go, hoping that Chen Xiuxiu will take revenge on Mayan. It's best if she bites Mayan, and turn her into a waste like senior brother Luo. Lu Ruoxuan feels that she's kind and pure. But these days, her jealousy and hatred towards Mayan has grown little by little, like a prairie fire, burning fiercely. Why does Mayan have to exist in this world? She steals all her glory, steals other people's attention, and reduces her to a clown-like laughing stock. Moreover, in the training field, she begged like that, but she still took away her points. She can only rely on scheming and begging to become Jiang Dehai's disciple. Mayan is too cruel and merciless, too dazzling. If senior sister Chen can teach her a lesson, let her taste despair, that would be great. Lu Ruoxuan thinks like this, and unknowingly arrives not far from Mayan's tent. Although there are only 2 people, Wei Zi still sets up 2 tents for Mayan to live comfortably. Wei Zi's tent was downwind, about 10 meters away from Mayan's tent. This kind of distance would not affect Mu Yan, and it would also allow Mu Yan to come and go whenever she was summoned. Lu Ruoxuan is about to get closer to listen, to see if her world has gone to find trouble with Mayan. Suddenly, 2 extremely light footsteps came from the foot of the mountain. Lu Ruoxuan had a guilty conscience and was startled. She quickly found a place to hide and did not even dare to breathe. Before long, she sees Qian Feng and Qian Hongxiao walking towards Jun Mayan's tent. Lu Ruoxuan is suspicious in her heart. It's so late, why are Elder Qian and the others looking for Mayan? What's more, didn't he just invite Mayan to dinner? Uncle, there's no movement in Jun Mayan's tent. I'm afraid that your 1,000 miles intoxication has taken effect. Qian Hongxiao said excitedly. He couldn't wait to rush in. Qian Feng looked at him unhappily and told him to knock out Wei Zi, who was in a tent not far away. He himself began to display the Void Manual. Chapter 960. When Qian Feng withdraws his hand, his forehead is slightly sweaty, clearly somewhat tired. But there's a satisfied smile on his face. Uncle, have you already used the void art? Qian Hongxiao comes out of Wei Zi's tent. Seeing his uncle's satisfied smile, he knows that it's a success. Qian Feng glances at him. The little girl by Mayan's side has been taken care of. Don't worry, uncle. Qian Hongxiao proudly says, if this nephew can't even deal with that kind of useless little girl, would I still be worthy to be your disciple? That girl won't wake up before the sun rises tomorrow. Saying that, his blazing and greedy gaze turns to the silent Mayan's tent. Uncle, can this nephew go in? Rest assured, go. Qian Feng waves his hand, speaking in a low voice. Remember, you must use the great spiritual absorption method to absorb her spiritual root completely. Remember not to disturb anyone when you're done. Don't worry, uncle, this nephew understands. Saying that, Qian Hongxiao couldn't hold back any longer and impatiently rushes into the tent. A woman's cry of alarm quickly comes from the tent, but it's only a very short cry. It's soon replaced by a man's lewd laughter, the sound of clothes rubbing against each other, and the sound of bodies colliding. The moonlight shines on the tent, and the shadows of two figures can be faintly seen entangled together. Occasionally, it's also mixed with Qian Hongxiao's angry shout, "Slut, you dare to bite me." It's followed by a few slaps, and the sound once again turns into Qian Hongxiao's satisfied laughter and heavy breathing. Qian Feng looks at this scene, nods in satisfaction, and turns to leave. Hiding in the bushes, Lu Ruoxuan tightly covers her mouth. Her little face is deathly pale, and she doesn't dare to move for a long time. Until the man and woman in the tent become more and more engrossed, making love to each other, and that shameful sound constantly comes out. Only then did Lu Ruoxuan stand up and stumble her way back. Jean, what's wrong? Peng Yunfei looks for Chinchuxiu outside for a long time, but he can't find her. Just as he's feeling vexed, when he comes back, he sees Lu Ruoxuan's pale little face crashing into his arms. Jean, are you all right? Did someone bully you? Or did you find Chinchuxiu? I'm fine. Lu Ruoxuan stammered while shaking her head. I just went to the east to look for senior sister Qin, and then, I saw Qian. Young Master Qian enter Miss Jun's tent, and then they, as she spoke, her pale little face was flushed red. She was both embarrassed and annoyed. I even heard that kind of sound coming from the tent. Senior brother, what do you think is going on? Why is young Master Qian going to Miss Jun's tent in the middle of the night? Although Lu Ruoxuan's words were vague, Peng Yunfei understood it at once. Hearing Lu Ruoxuan's seemingly ignorant question, he couldn't help but snort coldly and said with disdain, what else can it be? Naturally, it's because Jun Mayan is good at seducing people. She seduced young Master Ning at the Heavenly Fragrance Building, and now she's seducing young Master Qian here. This woman is vicious and merciless, and her methods are despicable. No wonder we've fallen into her hands time and time again. Chapter 961. Qian, you are too naive. You don't know how sinister people can be. Pang Yunfei touched her face and said in a gentle tone, "That kind of woman has no sense of shame. In order to climb up, she can do any dirty thing." Lu Ruoxuan still shook her head in disbelief. "No, it can't be. Senior brother, what should we do? Should I pretend not to see it?" "Ha, pretending not to see it would be letting that slut off too easily." Pang Yunfei sneered, "Since she can even do such a shameless thing, how can I not let everyone in Windless Square know her true colors?" "Senior brother, what do you mean? Isn't the sect selection results to be announced tomorrow? I want to see how June Mayan will have the face to enter the Leaf Fire sect after losing so much face in front of everyone." Pang Yunfei thought of the points that June Mayan had snatched away in the trial grounds and gritted his teeth. "She humiliated us in the trial grounds. Today, senior brother will make her pay 1,000 times over." Lu Ruoxuan's eyes flashed, as if she wanted to say something. Finally, she obediently lowered her head and timidly said, "Xian, will listen to senior brother." Windless Square. Early morning. Just after dawn. The eastern sky was dimly lit, but the entire Windless Square was still immersed in silence. Suddenly, a clamor woke up the Xiuzhe who were still sleeping. "Qin Xiuxiu, are you here? Senior sister Qin, come out quickly. You are still sick, we need to treat you." Everyone was woken up from their sleep and walked out of their tents with ill intent. Only then did they realize that the noise was from the Bright Moon sect. "Why are you all so noisy so early in the morning? Even if you want to find someone, you can't disturb their sleep." The people from the Bright Moon sect apologized profusely. "We had no choice. Our Bright Moon sect's senior sister Qin suddenly became hysterical yesterday. She bit anyone she saw, so we had to lock her up. But we did not expect her to escape last night. We were afraid that she would have a hysterical episode outside and randomly bite people, so we had to come out overnight to look for her." When the crowd heard that Qin Xiuxiu had a hysterical episode that caused her to bite people, they all frowned. There were some people who were interested in watching the commotion and started to look around. They were mainly there to watch the commotion. They wanted to see what it looked like when a hysterical patient bit someone. Just like that, the number of people searching for Qin Xiuxiu grew larger and larger. Almost everyone in the Windless Plaza was awakened. Even the elders of the Dark Dream Hall heard the commotion and came out. Someone in the crowd shouted, "When I woke up in the early morning, I thought I saw a woman heading towards the mountain in the east." Lu Ruoxuan exclaimed, "I remember that only Miss June. My senior sister has always hated Miss June. It can't be that she went to find trouble with Miss June." Pang Yunfei waved his hand. "Come, let's go take a look. If junior sister Qin really offended Miss June, we still have to apologize to her." Thus, the group of people went to the east slope in a mighty manner. This place was originally remote and quiet. Coupled with Mu Yan's strength, without her permission, no one would dare to set up a tent here. As a result, there were only Mayans and Weizi's tents in this spacious area. Chapter 962. He hasn't finished speaking, but he seems to have seen something unbelievable. His mouth is wide open, unable to speak for a long time. What's going on? The shock in Pang Yunfei's voice arouses everyone's curiosity. A meddlesome cultivator quickly steps forward, and opens the gap in the tent's curtain a little wider. In a split second, a strong smell of lust mixed with blood hits them in the face. That person looks into the tent, and sees a naked man and woman lying on a simple bed. The man is facing the sky, his eyes closed. There are many bloody scratches and bite marks on his face and neck. But anyone can see at a glance that this person is Elder Qian's nephew, Qian Hongxiao. And the woman lying next to Qian Hongxiao is half lying on Qian Hongxiao's body. Her face is facing down, and her appearance can't be seen clearly. But they can see indescribable marks under her body. Coupled with the pungent smell in the tent, anyone can imagine what this man and woman did last night. Oh, this. I really didn't expect that young Master Qian and Jun Mayan would have this kind of relationship. TSK, I thought Jun Mayan was so outstanding, so virtuous, so pure and clean. I didn't expect that she's also a trash that sells her own body to climb up. What did I say at the beginning? Didn't the people of the Bright Moon sect already say that she came out of Heavenly Fragrance Restaurant? What kind of place is Heavenly Fragrance Restaurant? It's a place where prostitutes sell their bodies. How can a woman who comes out of that place be good? In this time sect selection, Mayan won first place. Some people admire her, some are envious, and some are so jealous that they almost vomit blood. It's just that because Mayan was in the limelight before, no one dared to say anything. Now that they see this scene, they immediately hit her when she's down, and those who take pleasure in her misfortune come out one by one. When the people of the Bright Moon sect see this scene, and hear the discussions of the surrounding cultivators, they only feel unspeakably carefree. If it wasn't for this Jun Mayan, their Bright Moon sect would have been the most outstanding Min Lu Jia cultivators in this sect selection. But because of this Jun Mayan's existence, not only did she steal all of their glory, but she also made them unable to enter a large sect in the end. How can they not hate her in their hearts? I've said it before, this Jun Mayan is shameless, despicable, and shameless, but everyone has been deceived by her appearance. Our junior sister Lu Ruoxuan is clearly the most outstanding female cultivator in the Min Lu boundary. Even if her cultivation is not high enough, our junior sister has always been pure and clean. She is much better than this shameless and dirty person. That's right, what right does such a person have to enter the Li Fire sect? Perhaps her performance in the training field was also obtained by selling her body. We should let our junior sister enter the Li Fire sect. Lu Ruoxuan shook her head and said humbly, No, I'm not as good as you say. Moreover, Miss June, she might have been forced to seduce young Master Qian. You guys shouldn't be too harsh on her. Her words made the people around her treat her even better. They felt that she was really a kind and pure little girl. Jiang Dehai, who had just rushed over after hearing the commotion, immediately revealed a satisfied smile when he heard these words. It seemed like he had taken in quite a good disciple. Chapter 963. Such a shameless woman, no matter how talented she is, she's nothing more than a plaything and a joke. What's going on? Why is there such a ruckus early in the morning, gathering here? Qian Feng's dignified and angry voice is heard, scaring everyone who's watching the bustle. Lu Ruoxuan shudders, and she can't help but recall the scene she heard and saw last night. In fact, she's the only one who knows that all of this was Qian Feng and Qian Hongxiao's scheme against Mayan. But Mayan treated her like that. Lu Ruoxuan clenches her teeth and erases the scene from her mind. That's right. It was Mayan herself who seduced Qian Gongzi. She's shameless, doing such a thing, and being seen by others, her reputation is ruined. She only has herself to blame. Early in the morning, when Qian Feng hears the clamor of people heading east, his heart thumps. But it's already too late to stop them. At this time, he can only pretend to know nothing and walk forward. Seeing the scene in the tent, smelling the scent in the tent, an imperceptible smile flashes through his eyes. Although he still complains in his heart that his nephew is useless, he clearly told him to be careful and keep a low profile, but it still alarmed everyone. But thinking that this scene was seen by everyone, Jun Mayan's reputation can be considered to be completely ruined. Even if she turns around and says that she was schemed against by him, he's afraid that few people would believe her. In this way, he can be considered to have completely strangled and destroyed this scourge. Qian Feng is calculating in his heart, but his face shows shock and fury. He loudly berates, "What's going on here? Nonsense, simply too much nonsense. Hong Xiao, what are you doing? quickly get up for me. The two people in the tent softly snort twice, but neither of them opens their eyes. Someone can't help but be speechless. Last night's battle was so intense that they weren't even woken up. Qian Feng raises his voice again, saying with anger, Hong Xiao, what are you doing? Saying that, he's about to step forward. Jiang Dehai promptly steps forward and says with a smile, calm your anger, Elder Qian. There's no need to get angry over such a small matter. Hong Xiao is at the age where he likes to play around. With a woman seducing him, he would naturally be unable to resist the temptation. What's more, Hong Xiao is a man, so he wouldn't be at a disadvantage in this kind of matter. Although this Jun Mayan is somewhat unpresentable, it's fine for Hong Xiao to take her back as a concubine. Qian Feng sighed and said, sigh, that child, Hong Xiao. Yesterday, he said that Jun Mayan liked him and wanted to become Dao companions with him. I didn't say that I didn't agree, I only said that I would consider it. I didn't expect that he couldn't wait to do it with this woman, and let everyone see it. Shameful, really shameful. Qian Feng's words are tantamount to confirming that Mayan has seduced Qian Hongxiao. This time, the surrounding people's ridicule towards Mu Yan became even louder. Yi Huan and the others had just arrived. When they heard the crowd's discussion, the first thing they said was that they didn't believe it. How could our boss seduce men? That's right. If our boss wants a man, she would have to queue from the blue sky realm to the azure blue realm. Someone must have framed our boss. Even Qin Yizhou said with a dark expression, she wouldn't do such a thing. As a result, the crowd of onlookers is divided into two factions. For a moment, there's no end to the clamor. Pang Yunfei didn't expect that there would actually be people speaking up for Jun Mayan. Chapter 964. He sneered, if it wasn't Jun Mayan who seduced by air, could it be young Master Qian who seduced Jun Mayan? Young Master Qian is Elder Qian's nephew, a personal disciple. He can have any woman he wants, so is there a need to seduce Jun Mayan? Stop pasting gold on this slut's face. I think all of you who hang out with her aren't any good either. Don't tell me this woman has already sold her body to sleep with you, so you are speaking up for her. The crowd immediately turned furious. What nonsense are you talking about? If you dare say another word, do you believe I won't blow your dog head off? Some of the hot-tempered ones were about to rush forward to beat up the people from the Bright Moon sect. But at the next moment, a powerful and terrifying pressure emitted from Qian Feng's body, suppressing the surroundings into silence. Qian Feng coldly said, all of you shut up. Saying that, he looked at the Leaf Fire sect disciples, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and wake Hong Xiao up, then throw this shameless woman out of Windless Square, so that we won't be dirtying our eyes. After a night of sexual intercourse, Qian Hongxiao's spiritual absorption technique must have sucked away all of Jun Mayan's spiritual roots. The current Jun Mayan was just trash, so what was the use of keeping her? Just as the Leaf Fire sect disciples were about to step forward, a figure suddenly appeared from a tent not far away. Wei Zi rubbed her sleepy eyes and asked curiously, why are you squeezing in front of Mrs. Tent? Saying that, she was about to head towards Mayan's tent. Lu Ruoxuan hurriedly pulled her back, and with a sincere and guilty look, she said, Miss Wei Zi, I think it's best you don't go in. Why? Lu Ruoxuan's face was flushed red, and her voice was like a mosquito. That, Miss June, she's now with. Wei Zi blinked and became even more curious. What's wrong with Miss? Pang Yunfei said, that miss of yours is inside. Go see for yourself her current ugly state. Wei Zi seemed even more baffled. She took a step forward and glanced into the tent. Following that, she exclaimed and covered her mouth, retreating with a flushed face, what's going on? How can there be naked men and women in Mrs. Tent? Pang Yunfei sneered, "It's all because your shameless young miss seduced young Master Qian and was caught by us. You're talking nonsense." Wei Zi was so angry that her face turned red. She raised her voice and said, "The one inside is not Mississippi. Stop slandering me." Because. Before she could finish her words, Lu Ruoxuan had already interrupted her. Her face was full of sympathy and pity, and her voice was soft as if it was the most sincere consolation. "Miss Wei Zi, don't be like this. I know you can't accept it. However, this scene was witnessed by all of us. I'm sorry, if you feel sad, just cry it out. I think Miss June, she just wants to climb up, she didn't mean to seduce young Master Qian." Wei Zi listened to Lu Ruoxuan's kind words of consolation, but not only was she not moved, she was so angry that her whole body trembled. "Don't spout nonsense and wrongly accuse our Mississippi. That woman isn't our miss at all. And that wild man, I don't know how he got into our miss tent. Because." Chapter 965. The woman's chest barely rises and falls, like a dead person. When she's turned over, her hair is scattered, revealing a deathly gray but still pretty face. But there's a large burn scar on her chin, completely destroying her appearance. But this woman, this appearance, is clearly, this isn't June Mayan. Who's this woman? Wait, isn't this Qin Shouxiu of the Bright Moon sect? That particularly arrogant woman, I remember this scar on her face. What's going on? Didn't they say that June Mayan seduced Qian Hongxiao to do illicit things here? How did it become Qin Shouxiu? The people present are discussing spiritedly, inexplicably shocked. Pang Yunfei and Lu Ruoxuan are dumbfounded. How could it be Qin Shouxiu and not June Mayan? Qian Feng is even more shocked and incredulous. He almost loses control and rushes forward, grabs Qin Shouxiu's neck and shakes it, shouting angrily, "How could it be you? Where's June Mayan?" Elder Qian is shouting so loudly, "I don't know why you're looking for me." A light and sweet voice, with a trace of laziness, like the sounds of nature. Everyone looks back and sees a girl in a plain dress, opening the tent's flap and slowly walking out. This tent is the one that Wei Zi just came out from. The morning sun falls on her delicate face, pink cheeks slightly red, peach blossom eyes with a trace of drowsiness, delicate eyebrows, crimson lips reflecting the sun, a threatening beauty. There's a moment of silence in the surrounding crowd, followed by the sound of several men slightly sucking in cold air. Although they already knew that June Mayan's appearance could captivate even the birds and overshadow the moon and shame the flowers, but now that they see it up close under the morning sun, they know how beautiful this girl's appearance is. However, Qian Feng isn't in the mood to appreciate this stunning girl. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Why are you in that tent?" Mayan smiles faintly, her peach blossom eyes rippling like water. "Elder Qian must be joking. Both tents are mine. Do I have to report to Elder Qian which one I stay in?" Elder Qian's complexion alternated between green and white. For a moment, because he had suffered such a huge blow, he could not speak for a long time. Wei Zi looked at the shocked Pang Yunfei and Lu Ruoxuan, then looked at Elder Qian, and said in a crisp voice that everyone could hear, "I've been wanting to say that it wasn't Mrs., because Miss was with me the whole night. Who knew that these people from the Bright Moon sect were siblings, but they wouldn't let me continue. You even used such foul language to insult the young miss in front of me. I don't know what your intentions are." As soon as Yi Huan and the others saw this, they felt refreshed. One by one, they came forward and sneered, "Who was the one who said that we're not good people just because we hang out with boss? If I remember correctly, this loose woman who seduced young Master Qian is from your Bright Moon sect, right? Does that mean that the people of your Bright Moon sect who hang out with Qin Shouxiu aren't good people either?" You were just bragging about how pure June your sister is. Bah, I wonder if she's as shameless as Chinshosho. Chapter 966. Lu Ruoxuan had never been humiliated like this. Tears gushed out at once, and her body trembled. You're talking nonsense. You're slandering me. Pang Yunfei raged. If you talk nonsense again, don't blame me for being impolite. Yi Huan snorted. Don't you have any shame? Weren't you very happy when you slandered our boss just now? Now we're just returning what you've just said to you, and it's slandering us. It's not like we haven't seen the faces of the Mingyue sect in the trial field. It's fine to take advantage of others to rob others, but when it's others' turn to retaliate, they're crying and looking like they've been wronged. It's disgusting to see. Lu Ruoxuan cried so hard that she couldn't catch her breath. She shook her head repeatedly. I didn't, don't wrongly accuse me. Wei Zi sneered. Miss Lu, you led a large group of people into our Mrs. tent early in the morning. I don't know what your intentions are. Don't you know how vicious it is to ruin a woman's reputation? What's more, every word you said was to lead others to believe that it was our miss who seduced first young Master Qian, but you always showed a kind and pure appearance. Don't tell me that you don't know what kind of situation our miss will be in with such words. Now that you've found out that you've made a mistake, not only do you not apologize to our miss, but you're still crying and pretending to be pitiful. Bah, if I were you, I'd find a hole to hide in. Listening to Wei Zi's rapid-fire curses, Mu Yan couldn't help but touch her nose. TSK, when this little girl was just rescued by her, she was still shy and couldn't even speak properly. But now, she could curse without panting, and Lu Ruoxuan almost fainted. She's really promising. And Wei Zi's words indeed made those who originally sympathized with Lu Ruoxuan cast a contemptuous look at her. Especially after thinking carefully about the meaning of her words, they shook their heads one by one. This woman was probably far from being as innocent and harmless as she appeared to be. On the contrary, she was a scheming bitch. Jiang Dehai still thought that Lu Ruoxuan was pitiful, but he still shook his head. Lu Ruoxuan's reputation had become so bad. He originally planned to take her in as a personal disciple and train her well. Now it seemed that it was better to just give her a spot as a registered disciple and let her perish on her own. Just as everyone was denouncing the Bright Moon sect, the Leaf Fire sect disciple that went to wake Qian Hongxiao suddenly exclaimed, Master, senior brother doesn't seem right. Qian Feng abruptly came back to his senses and hurriedly walked up to check. Qian Hongxiao had already woken up, his eyes wide open. But the strange thing was that he was completely unable to move, and he was even unable to speak. He could only stare fixedly at Qian Feng with a pair of terrified eyes. Hongxiao, Hongxiao. Qian Feng extended his hand to inspect Qian Hongxiao's body. However, when the spiritual power entered his nephew's body, it instantly overflowed from the surface of his body. Qian Feng suddenly opened his eyes wide and said in disbelief, Hongxiao, your dantian, your cultivation, why are they all gone? What's going on? Qian Hongxiao's eyes were filled with fear, despair, and pleading. Tears flowed down from his eyes. Chapter 967. The elder of the Five Spirits sect was the most proficient in medical skills. He squatted down and examined Qian Hongxiao for a while, then shook his head regretfully. It's too late, the poison in his body has already spread throughout his entire body, completely destroying his dantian. Strange, what kind of poison is this? Why have I never seen it before? The words of the elders of the Five Spirits sect were equivalent to sentencing Qian Hongxiao to death. From then on, he could only lie on the bed, living a life worse than death. Qian Feng abruptly stands up and fiercely glares at Mayan. It's you slut who tried to kill my nephew, isn't it? He was so angry that his whole body was trembling, and his head was buzzing with dizziness. Although this nephew was not his biological son, he had been raised by his side since he was young. Coupled with his high cultivation, it was almost impossible for him to have another child. Therefore, he had always treated this nephew as his own son. Now that Jun Mayan had crippled Qian Hongxiao, how could he not be mad and resentful? However, Mu Yan was not afraid at all. Her voice was still neither fast nor slow. Elder Qian's words are really getting more and more inexplicable. I have no enmity with your nephew, why would I want to kill him? If you want to ask, shouldn't you ask Miss Qin Xiuxiu who has a physical relationship with young Master Qian? I'm the one who finds it strange. Why did young Master Qian come to my tent for no reason? Elder Qian is so certain that I harmed young Master Qian. Could it be that Elder Qian knows what he's here for? Qian Feng was instantly choked. His face was a mixture of green and white, and he was unable to speak for a long time. He can't say that it was him who ordered his nephew to rape Mayan and conveniently used the great spiritual absorption spell to suck away her spirit root. However, he didn't expect that he would go for wool and come home shorn. He actually dragged his nephew into this mess. However, how could he be willing to swallow his anger just like that? Yi Huan said with a smile, didn't the elder of 5 spirit sects say that young Master Qian was poisoned? Last night, young Master Qian had been with Qin Xiuxiu of the Bright Moon sect. Naturally, Qin Xiuxiu was the reason he was poisoned. If Elder Qian wants the antidote, why don't you ask the Bright Moon sect's people for it? As soon as he said this, everyone's gazes turned to the people of the Bright Moon sect. Lu Ruoxuan was so scared that her face turned pale. No, we didn't poison him. We don't have the antidote. Pang Yunfei's face was also filled with fear. Because everyone in the Bright Moon sect knew that Qian Hongxiao had fallen to such a state because he had definitely been bitten by Qin Xiuxiu. It was because his symptoms were exactly the same as senior brother Luo and senior brother Zhang. If Qian Feng were to find out about this, then the consequences would be unimaginable. Pang Yunfei forced himself to remain calm and said, Elder Qian, don't listen to that scoundrel's provocation. Our Bright Moon sect is only a small sect in Minlu domain, so how could we have the ability to make such a shocking poison? Furthermore, you've also seen junior sister Chen's appearance. How could such an unrefined woman enter young Master Qian's eyes? I dare to confirm that Jun Mayan, that witch, framed my Minghua sect in this matter. He knelt down on the ground with a thud. Elder Qian, you must be clear about this. You can't let the real murderer off. Qian Feng's expression kept changing, and his whole body exuded a frightening murderous aura. In fact, even if Qian Hongxiao was with Qin Xiuxiu, he, like the people of the Bright Moon sect, also believed that this matter was done by Jun Mayan. Chapter 968. Thousandly intoxication and void art, this should be foolproof. But why? Why did it turn out like this? Slut, I want you to pay for my nephew's life. Qian Feng suddenly soars into the sky, raising his palm to ruthlessly slap Mu Yan. Mu Yan only feels a powerful pressure envelop her. A terrifying and powerful spiritual power forms a whirlpool, blocking her soul. The Tian Mo Qin suddenly appears in her hand, activating the divine hand weaving the heavens. But even so, when that strong gold core stage cultivator's attack falls, she still feels a fishy taste in her throat, and suddenly spits out a mouthful of blood. Qian Feng didn't expect that his attack wouldn't be able to kill a little girl at the first level of Anidia. He can't help but roar, condensing his full power once again, and attacks her. But before Qian Feng's attack can reach Mu Yan, a shadow suddenly flashes out. With a few muffled sounds, a few slaps fall on the back of Qian Feng's hand. Qian Feng only feels that his condensed spiritual power is blown away in a flash, as if it's being swept by a gale. He retreats several steps, standing awkwardly. He can't help but fly into a rage. Shiqing, what are you doing? Only to see a ragged old man standing in front of Mu Yan, casually grabbing his messy hair. Who else could it be but the head of the Xiaoyao school, Shiqing? Mu Yan originally planned to fight Qian Feng to the end, but she didn't expect that someone would come to her rescue. Little sister, are you okay? The cute youth of the Xiaoyao school supports Mu Yan, and worriedly takes out a talisman. This is a healing talisman. Little sister, you only need to activate it with spiritual power, and you'll feel a little better. Mu Yan takes the talisman, a little curious. She didn't expect that the way of healing in the cultivation world would be so magical. She is about to thank the youth, but he has already rushed to Shiqing's side, and angrily says, Old man Qian, what did my master want to ask you? This Mu Yan is the champion of this time's sect selection. She hasn't chosen a sect yet, so she could be a disciple of any sect. How can you casually kill people? Qian Feng gritted his teeth and said, She crippled my nephew, so I killed her to pay for it with my life. Isn't that right and proper? The youth sneered, What evidence do you have to prove that little Missy crippled your nephew? She was clearly not in that tent last night. Also, didn't you notice that your nephew has a bite wound on his neck? That wound has already turned blue and purple. Maybe the poison came from there. As soon as the youth said this, everyone's gaze subconsciously turned to Qian Hongxiao's neck. Sure enough, there were 2 rows of teeth marks on it. It was obvious that he had been bitten. Moreover, there was a little bit of dark red mixed in the bruise. It looked abnormally ghastly. Yi Huan immediately yelled, This is obviously the poison in Qin Xiuxiu's mouth that killed young Master Qian. The Bright Moon sect really harbors ulterior motives. They clearly killed someone, yet they actually want our boss to be the scapegoat. In my opinion, if Elder Qian wants to take revenge, he should capture everyone from the Bright Moon sect and interrogate them properly. Why is he so fixated on our boss? That's right. The poison was given by the Bright Moon sect. As long as we torture them, we can definitely find the antidote. The onlookers didn't mind the matter getting bigger. They clamored to arrest the people from the Bright Moon sect. This time, Pang Yunfei and the others panicked. Chapter 969. Pang Yunfei anxiously says, This matter has nothing to do with our Minghua sect. If it was Qin's sister who poisoned him, why did Qin's sister die? Moreover, when have you ever heard of a poison that could turn someone into young Master Qian with just a bite? Pang Yunfei only thinks that he must not let others suspect him and interrogate him. He doesn't care that the people who were bitten by Qin Xiuxiu in the Minghua sect's tent will be discovered. He even thinks that after a while, he will be killed by Zhang Luo and the others and cremated so that no one can find any evidence. Now Qin Xiuxiu is also dead. If he says that it wasn't Qin Xiuxiu who bit him, then it wasn't Qin Xiuxiu who bit him. Jun Mayan, all of this was done by you, right? Pang Yunfei crouches beside Qin Xiuxiu's body and shouts angrily, Just because my junior sister offended you, you cruelly killed her, and even framed her for killing young Master Qian. How can your heart be so cruel? Lu Ruoxuan also cries as she crouches beside Qin Xiuxiu. Looking at Qin Xiuxiu's cold body, she is heartbroken. Miss June, even if senior sister really offended you, she has already been taught a lesson. In the training field, you played us miserably enough. Why did you even take her life? Now, you even framed her for killing young Master Qian, but senior sister's cultivation is not even 1/10 of yours. How could she have killed young Master Qian? She looks up at Mayan, her face full of grief and pleading, Miss June, I beg you, tell the truth, okay? I really don't want my senior sister to be wronged in death. Lu Ruoxuan speaks with sincerity and grief. and many of the male cultivators present begin to believe her words. But at this time, Chinshosho, who was lying on the ground, naked and long dead, suddenly opens her eyes. Awo! Her throat emits a beast-like scream, and she suddenly pounces towards Lu Ruoxuan. Oh! Lu Ruoxuan suddenly turns around, only to see a greenish-gray face and a pair of crimson pupils right in front of her eyes. At the same time, that pair of purple lips opens, revealing eerie white teeth, and ruthlessly pounces towards her neck. Don't aw! Lu Ruoxuan screamed in horror and hurriedly hid behind Pang Yunfei. Pang Yunfei was also caught off guard and instinctively wanted to protect Lu Ruoxuan. Unexpectedly, Chinshosho grabbed him by the collar and then opened her mouth like a sacrificial bowl and suddenly bit his neck. Ah! Pang Yunfei screamed and pushed Chinshosho away. But in the end, it was still too late. A deep bite mark appeared on his neck. These teeth marks were turning green and purple at a speed visible to the naked eye, and there was even a hint of dark red. It was exactly the same as the one on Qian Hongxiao's neck. Pang Yunfei felt as if a gust of cold air had entered his body, causing him to tremble uncontrollably. The image of senior brother Luo and the others being bitten by Chinshosho and losing all of their spiritual power appeared in his mind. The blood drained from his face bit by bit as panic and despair crept onto his already distorted handsome face. No, I don't want to lose all my spiritual power, I don't want to become trash. Pang Yunfei waved his hand and pounced towards Lu Ruoxuan. Jin, save me, save me. I don't want to become a waste. Chapter 970. Pang Yunfei's whole person seems to have gone mad, desperately grabbing his bitten neck with his hands. Even if it's bloody, he doesn't stop. This horrifying scene scares everyone present. Even when Chinshosho pounces on one of the practitioners with bared fangs and brandished claws, that person can't react at all. The deathly pale face and ghastly white teeth are close at hand. That person is so horrified that he can't even scream. There's only one sentence echoing in his mind: my life is over. But the next moment, Chinshosho is wrapped up by something and dragged back, directly thrown to the ground. Mu Yan takes a step forward, unobtrusively retrieving the golden silkworm goo, child goo from Chinshosho's body. Chinshosho's body twitches a few times. This time, she really completely loses her vitality and becomes a corpse. Mu Yan crouches down to examine Chinshosho's body, the corners of her mouth slowly hooking up into a cold smile. She was wondering how Chinshosho could become a ferocious, corpse soldier after her death. It stands to reason that the golden silkworm goo that she has improved will only be activated by the resentment of the evil Yin spirit, and finally take away the vitality of the host's body, but it will not harm the host's life. If one day, the person's state of mind is peaceful and without resentment, the golden silkworm goo will naturally crawl out. Even if the host can't restore their cultivation, they can still become a normal mortal who can live a normal life. But Chinshosho actually died, and she died because she was tortured, eventually becoming a living dead like the corpse soldier, controlled by Gong Qinxue. Mu Yan originally wondered why, but after checking, she finally knows. Chinshosho's spiritual root talent has completely disappeared. This is the result of being used as a furnace to collect yin to nourish yang. Even because this method of collecting yin to nourish yang was too vicious, Chinshosho not only lost her spiritual root talent, but also died from being collected. Such a miserable way of dying, how can she not be filled with resentment, and how can she not become a corpse soldier? Taking advantage of the fact that no one is paying attention, Mu Yan gets closer to the scattered clothes in the tent. She originally didn't hold much hope, but who knew that she would actually find a thin book in a man's clothes? Looking at the 4 words, Great Spirit Absorbing Art, on it, Mu Yan's eyes darkened. He quickly grabbed the book and sent it into his space. Her movements were extremely fast, and coupled with the chaos at the scene, no one noticed her. Because of this sudden turn of events, the surrounding people became a mess. Many people were also confused. They didn't understand why Pang Yunfei was so shocked and scared out of his wits after just being bitten. Then, after Pang Yunfei screamed and scratched for a while, he suddenly fell straight down. The elders of the Five Spirit sect hurriedly went forward to check. With a glance, his expression changed slightly. The symptoms are exactly the same as young Master Qian. He has completely become a cripple. This time, all the onlookers were shocked. I really became like Mr. Qian after being bitten. Just now, that person from the Bright Moon sect said that it wasn't because of Qin Xiuxiu's bite, but looking at Pang Yunfei, he clearly knows the inside story. It's too scary. Just one bite and you'll become a cripple. If we were bitten just now. Chapter 971. The people of the Bright Moon sect are too sinister. They clearly knew that being bitten by Qin Xiuxiu would result in such a state, yet they still tried to weasel their way out of it. We almost died because of it. Unfriendly gazes swept over Lu Ruoxuan and the people of the Bright Moon sect. Lu Ruoxuan felt the murderous intent of the crowd, and her body trembled like a sieve. As she cries, she shakes her head with all her might. No, it's not like that. We also don't know why Senior Sister Chen became like this. That's right, it's June Mayan. She suddenly seems to have thought of something. Pointing at Mayan, she excitedly says, "That day, it was you who fed Senior Sister poison, that's why she became like this. All of this is your fault. That's right, you killed my senior sister and harmed young Master Qian." Boo-hoo-hoo, June Mayan, just admit it, okay? In fact, Lu Ruoxuan didn't believe that it was Mayan's elixir that caused Qin Xiuxiu to become like this. After all, so many days have passed since Mu Yan fed Qin Xiuxiu the medicine. Later, Qin Xiuxiu also went to a famous doctor to check her body, but there was nothing unusual. If it was really poison, he had never heard of it taking effect after so many days, and in such a strange way. Lu Ruoxuan actually felt that Qin Xiuxiu might have contracted some sort of infectious hysteria. But at this very moment, she can only shift the blame to June Mayan in order to protect herself. As she spoke, even she began to believe her own words. It's just that when she says this, Mu Yan doesn't have the time to refute. The onlookers were already laughing mockingly. You were the one who said that young Master Qian wasn't bitten by Qin Xiuxiu earlier, and now you're admitting that you were bitten by Qin Xiuxiu and trying to frame someone else. You people from the Bright Moon sect, why do you like to go back on your words so much? You said that our boss fed poison to Qin Xiuxiu. May I ask when he fed it to her? Lu Ruoxuan was at a loss for words. Yes, it was 3 days ago. Ha 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 ha. To think that a poison from 3 days ago would still remain. I've lived for so many years, but I've never heard of such a poison in the continent of cultivation. Can't you change the way you choose to frame someone with a brain? No, I'm telling the truth. Lu Ruoxuan shakes her head in panic. June Mayan really fed senior sister Chen poison. If you don't believe me, you can ask her. At that time, she still wanted to feed it to me, but was stopped by Elder Jiang. June Mayan, you say, did you feed poison to my senior sister? Mu Yan smiles and is about to speak. Suddenly, Wu Fangyi rushed over, grabbed Lu Ruoxuan's hair, and slapped her crazily. Shut up. Don't you think our Bright Moon sect has lost enough face? Wu Fangyi glared at her with reddened eyes. Gnashing her teeth, she said, if you hadn't let Qin Xiuxiu go, young Master Qian wouldn't have suffered, Senior Yunfei wouldn't have ended up like this, and Xiuxiu wouldn't have died. All of this is your fault. As she cursed, she frantically pulled Lu Ruoxuan's hair and clothes. The force was so strong that it directly pulled out a bunch of Lu Ruoxuan's hair, causing her to cry out in pain. Chapter 972. Wu Fangyi had scolded and beaten her enough before throwing Lu Ruoxuan in front of Qian Feng. She gritted her teeth and said, "Elder Qian, the one who truly harmed your nephew is this woman. Today, my Bright Moon sect will hand over the culprit to you to deal with." Lu Ruoxuan's body trembled as she cried until she was out of breath. When she heard Wu Fangyi hand her over to Qian Feng to deal with, she was scared out of her wits. She scrambled to Jiang Dehai's side, hugged his thigh, and cried, "Master, Master, save me, I really didn't harm young Master Qian. It's really because of Jun Mayan's schemes and tricks that senior sister Qin became like that. Master, please believe me, save me, okay? One is willing to do anything to repay you." Jiang Dehai furrowed his brows. Especially when everyone looked at him strangely, it made him feel abnormally embarrassed. However, Lu Ruoxuan's heart-wrenching appearance made him inexplicably unable to harden his heart and inexplicably wanted to protect her. Jiang Dehai coughed lightly and took a step forward. "Brother Qian, there are indeed many doubtful points in this matter. For example, why is there a poison in Qin Xiuxiu's body that even the elders of the Five Spirits sect could not detect? Not to mention, in the middle of the night, even if your nephew wanted to meet a girl from the Bright Moon sect, why would he do it in Jun Mayan's tent? And why isn't Jun Mayan in her own tent?" Saying that, he glanced coldly at Mayan and slowly said, "This little girl, Lu Ruoxuan, this old man knows her. She is pure and kind. Apart from being a little silly and naive, she doesn't have any bad intentions. This old man likes her and has already accepted her as a disciple. This old man dares to guarantee that young Master Qian was not harmed by her. On the other hand, there are some people who are vicious and merciless. I'm afraid it's not strange for them to do such heartless things." Qian Feng's face had been gloomy since the incident with Qin Xiuxiu, and his whole body was filled with a terrifying killing intent. He was different from the other onlookers. Qian Feng did not take this group of small fries from the Bright Moon sect seriously at all, nor did he think that these trash could harm his nephew. He firmly believed that the one who caused his nephew to be in such a miserable state was definitely Jun Mayan, who had inexplicably escaped from his 1,000 miles drunk and void art. This woman had too many unexpected tricks up her sleeve. His talent and cultivation were terrifyingly high. If such a calamity wasn't eliminated, then he, Qian Feng, would never be able to eat and sleep in peace. "Jun Mayan, did you hear Elder Zhang's question earlier?" Mu Yan smiled and said, "So what if I heard it? How do you explain it?" Mayan sneered, "What's there to explain? This is my tent, yes, but I don't feel comfortable lying in this tent, so I changed it. Is there a problem? As for why your nephew and Qin Xiuxiu are in my tent, this is even more strange. Shouldn't you be asking your nephew? He actually brought a woman to someone else's tent in the middle of the night to do this kind of thing. What a weirdo." Qian Feng's face twisted. You're very good. Mu Yan is pleased with herself, thank you for the compliment." The cute young man from the Xiaoyao sect couldn't help but laugh out loud. The others could not help but laugh, but even more people could not help but worry for Mu Yan. Chapter 973. Qian Feng originally wanted to say something, but when he thought of something, he forcefully swallowed his words and left with a flick of his sleeves. But his eyes were filled with haze and cold killing intent. "Jun Mayan, I'll let you be complacent for a while. When we reach the Leaf Fire sect, I'll definitely make you suffer the consequences." The early morning farce came to an end amidst the discussions of the crowd. Qian Hongxiao was taken away by Qian Feng's men and treated by a famous doctor. But what could the other famous doctors do for a person that even the 5-spirit sect's elder could not save? As for the Bright Moon sect people, other than Lu Ruoxuan, who was protected by Jiang Dehai, the rest were taken into custody by the Leaf Fire sect disciples. Even though Qian Feng did not believe that they harmed his nephew. But since these people were related to his nephew's injuries, Qian Feng naturally would not let them off easily. When Wu Fangyi and company were taken away, they all turned back to glare angrily at Lu Ruoxuan, who was standing beside Jiang Dehai. That gaze seemed to want to tear her into pieces. If one were to say how much they loved and pampered this little junior sister in the past. Now, they hated her so much that they wanted to eat her flesh and gnaw her bones. It was clearly this woman who had foolishly let Chen Xiuxiu go, causing them to suffer collectively. Now that she had soared and hugged a powerful thigh, they had to bear the consequences of her mistakes, and were about to be consigned to eternal damnation. How could Wu Fangyi and company not go crazy with hatred? Mayan looked at this scene from afar and could not help but narrow her eyes. She sighed once again. Lu Ruoxuan's luck was so good that it made her unhappy. She had schemed against her time and time again, but every time Mayan wanted to retaliate, there would always be someone who came to help her. She had clearly sent her into the dust, but she would still be saved. TSK. Mayan sighed once again. If only her baby was here. With Xiaobao's heaven-defying luck, she wanted to see if Lu Ruoxuan's invincible luck could help her. The morning's farce did not affect the last step of the sect selection. Just after midnight, the cultivators who participated in the second round of assessment from the various large sects gathered outside the Yin Mang Hall. There was a sea of people in the windless square, waiting to witness the final results of the sect selection. First place in the second round of sect selection, Jun Mayan. Please choose the sect you wish to join. Jun Mayan takes a step forward, walks out from the crowd, and slowly walks forward. Qian Feng stared unblinkingly at the young girl who was approaching him, and the hatred in his heart was like boiling water. However, he did not show it on his face. Instead, he revealed a warm smile. Jun Mayan, from today onwards, you are a disciple of my Leaf Fire sect. Although there was some unhappiness between us before, it has been cleared up now. In the future, you must cultivate well and strive to bring glory to the sect one day. Saying that, he stretched out his hand, preparing to take Mu Yan's jade tablet. The jade token that was brought into the training field was always in the hands of the participants. Even if the jade token was taken away, it would return to its original owner after the trial ended. This jade card represented the only identity of the Xiuzhe participating in the sect selection. Once this jade card was given to a sect, it meant that this cultivator wanted to join that sect. Qian Feng holds out his hand, fully expecting that Mayan will eagerly and pleasantly hand over the jade tablet. He knew how much Jun Mayan wished to enter the Leaf Fire sect. Chapter 974. Little did she know that when she joyfully entered the Leaf Fire sect, it was only the beginning of her nightmare. However, Qian Feng maintained his warm smile. After waiting for a long time with his hand outstretched, Mu Yan did not hand over the jade token. He frowned slightly, but with a face full of tolerance, he said, "Is Miss June worried that I'm still angry over Hong Zhao's matter? You are overthinking it. This matter has been investigated and it has nothing to do with Miss June. I will also not pursue the matter of why Hong Zhao suffered such irreparable injuries in Miss June's tent." Ha! Mu Yan chuckles in a low voice. She doesn't take out the jade tablet, but fumbles around in her bosom and takes out a thin booklet. Elder Qian doesn't intend to investigate why Qian Hongxiao is in my tent, but I want to investigate. Saying that, she threw the book in her hand to the ground. Her gaze landed on Qian Feng's face. I found this in Qian Hongxiao's clothes. I wonder if Elder Qian can explain to me why Qian Hongxiao came to my tent in the middle of the night, and he even brought this evil ancient book with him. I wonder what he wants. The elders sitting on both sides, as well as the people watching the show, could not help but look at the book that Mu Yan had thrown out. When they saw the words Spiritual Absorption Grand Technique written on it, everyone's expression changed. The 5 Spirit Sect elder was the first to stand up and pick up the book. After flipping through a few pages, he immediately shook his head. His face was filled with disgust. Where did this dirty thing come from? Isn't this a cultivation technique that only evil demons cultivate? How can it appear in the sex selection grounds? It's nonsense. Nonsense. Qian Feng's face went from red to white, then from green to purple. His eyes were filled with panic and shock. In the morning, he was distracted by Qian Hongxiao's maiming, so he did not realize that the Spiritual Absorption Grand Technique book was missing. He did not expect that the book had been taken away by Mu Yan. What Qian Feng didn't expect even more was that Jun Mayan would be so audacious to this extent. She had taken out the ancient book in front of everyone. Was she not afraid of offending him and the Leaf Fire sect? Qian Feng opened his mouth to speak, but he heard Mu Yan sneer. I was wondering why Elder Qian insisted that I was the one who harmed Qian Hongxiao this morning. So it was because I went for wool and came home shorn. You! Don't you dare! Qian Feng opened his mouth and widened his eyes. He stammered for a long time, but he couldn't say a word. However, Mu Yan once again interrupted her, and shouted with an even more stern expression, last night at the banquet, Elder Qian insisted on matchmaking Qian Feng and I as Dao companions, but I didn't agree. I didn't expect that you would actually think of such a despicable method. Why, so the Leaf Fire sect is not that righteous sect, but such a dirty and dark place. You see that someone is talented, but you can't make him your own, so you want to take away his spirit root? You're worse than beasts, trying in vain to sever the future of others. No wonder Qian Hongxiao suffered a backlash and ended up like this. PFFF. Qian Feng couldn't take it anymore. His qi and blood surged, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. He wanted to explain something, but everyone was already looking at him suspiciously. Especially those who had seen the scene in the morning. He recalled the unbearable scene between Qian Hongxiao and Chen Xiuxiu. There was also Chen Xiuxiu's cold corpse, which was like a lamp that had run out of oil. Everything could be explained. Chapter 975. Not only did he destroy her innocence, he even wanted to suck away her spiritual root talent. That was a super grade 1 spiritual root. Such a stunning young lady was almost ruined. She was almost crippled. What? What was this? Was this how the Leaf Fire sect treated geniuses and disciples? Qian Feng suddenly raised his head and stared at Mayan with his red eyes. He angrily roared, Jun Mayan, you are bewitching others with your lies and slandering the Leaf Fire sect. Don't you want to enter the inner sect? Mu Yan sneered and said unhurriedly, I'm sorry, I'm really not interested in joining this kind of sect that hides filth. Besides, do you think I'm stupid? If I were to enter the Leaf Fire sect now, wouldn't I be waiting to be killed by you? However, since I can't enter the Leaf Fire sect, I naturally can't let the Leaf Fire sect and Qian Feng have it easy. Qian Feng straightened his body and his face was twisted. A terrifying pressure was emitted from his body. I want to see if my Leaf Fire sect doesn't want you, which sect dares to want you? Jun Mayan, I, Qian Feng, swear that I will make it impossible for you to gain a foothold in the Azure Heaven realm. With Qian Feng's ruthless words, the surrounding sect elders looked at each other and avoided eye contact. Although they despised Qian Feng for using an evil technique like the spiritual absorbing technique to bully a young lady, but in the Azure Heaven realm, the Leaf Fire sect was too powerful. No matter how much they appreciated or sympathized with Mayan, they did not dare to offend the Leaf Fire sect for her. Seeing the expressions of the various sect's elders, Qian Feng laughed maniacally. Jun Mayan, you have no power or influence. There is no sect you can return to. When you leave this windless square, I want to see how you will cry and beg me for mercy. Bullshit. A loud roar suddenly interrupted Qian Feng's laughter. This old man's 700 points was set up for this girl. Even if you don't want her, my Xiaoyao sect wants her. As he spoke, Shi Qing, who was unkempt and had hair like a chicken's nest, staggered forward. With a fawning and excited smile, he said to Mayan, "Girl, do you want to come to my Xiaoyao sect? My carefree gate has beautiful mountains and clear waters. The scenery is pleasant, and the disciples are simple and kind. I guarantee that it is different from that bullshit Leaf Fire sect. You will definitely not regret coming here." Before Mayan could say anything, the adorable youth also followed up, pulling Mayan's hand and shaking it repeatedly. Little sister, our sect is really good. The men are handsome, the women are beautiful, and there's also the most handsome and outstanding junior martial uncle in the world. Why don't you come to the Xiaoyao school? It's been a long time since the Xiaoyao school. Ahem. He almost blurted out that the Xiaoyao sect hadn't had any newcomers for a long time. The corners of Mu Yan's mouth twitched. Is this how you promote your own sect? But then she smiled and handed over her jade medallion. All right, I'll join the carefree school. The entire square was silent for a moment. Many people sighed regretfully. Xiaoyao sect. What kind of place is that? Even birds don't shit there. It's such a waste for someone as talented as Mayan to enter the Xiaoyao sect. What a waste. Sigh, if not for Jun Mayan completely offending Qian Feng and the Leaf Fire sect, which large sect wouldn't want such a good sapling? Chapter 976. Sixth Senior Sister, my name is Lan Luoyu. Everyone calls me Little Seven. The old man hurriedly took the jade token and smiled until his eyes were squinted. Good disciple. At least I did not make this trip for nothing. Shi Qing. Qian Feng roared angrily. He was like an enraged beast, about to pounce forward. A mere Xiaoyao sect dares to oppose me, Qian Feng. The old man stroked his beard and made a grimace. So what if I go against you? If you have the ability, come hit me. Retard, you can't beat me. Qian Feng's body twitched as his face turned red. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Just you wait. I will definitely not let the Leaf Fire sect off. The Leaf Fire sect disciples nervously rushed forward to support Qian Feng. And at this moment, Qinizhou, who was carrying a sword on his back, walked out of the crowd. He was second in the second round of the assessment, so it was his turn to choose a sect after Mayan. Qinizhou's face was still filled with arrogance. He strode in front of the five-spirit sect elder and handed over his jade token. The five-spirit sect elder was dumbfounded by this pie that fell from the sky. This was Qinizhou, a genius with a high-grade spirit root. His strength was on par with Jun Mayan, and he was the most famous young talent in recent years. With his points, it was more than enough to enter the Leaf Fire sect. And before the first round of assessment, Qinizhou had expressed his wish to enter the Leaf Fire sect. But now, he had handed the jade token in front of him. You really want to enter my five-spirit sect? No, not the Leaf Fire sect. Qinizhou raised his chin and said with a cold and arrogant voice, I have no interest in a place that hides evil and envies the talented. Will the five-spirit sect accept me? If he did not, he would change to another one. When his cultivation level increased, he still wanted to compete with Jun Mayan. As for the Xiaoyao sect, Mayan could choose, but he could not. The Xiaoyao sect's resources were too poor. It did not benefit his cultivation at all. But he completely despised the Leaf Fire sect's treacherous actions of destroying something they could not obtain. Yes, of course. The 5-spirit sect elder excitedly stood up and snatched Qin Ijo's jade tablet. He grabbed Qin Ijo's jade tablet and stuffed it into his own group of disciples. Ijo, don't worry. Once you enter my 5-spirit sect, you will definitely not regret it. The third was Enchanting. He glanced at Qin Ijo and Mu Yan, then walked towards the Wind Thunder Pavilion. This meant that the top 3 geniuses in the sect selection had all given up on the Leaf Fire sect and joined other sections. Unfortunately, the Leaf Fire sect's requirement for points was extremely high. Without Jun Mayan, Qin Ijo, and Enchanting, there was no one who could enter the Leaf Fire sect's inner sect. The elders and heads of the 5-spirit sect and the Wind and Thunder Pavilion were laughing so hard that only their teeth could be seen. Qian Feng, who had just recovered, spat out a mouthful of blood for the 3rd time. Finally, his eyes rolled back and he fainted. The grand selection had finally come to an end. The elders of the various sects took out their own flying magical weapons and took their respective disciples back to the sections. One magical weapon after another flew into the air, going from the size of a palm to the size of a carriage. They floated in the air in a beautiful and colorful manner, causing the people below to exclaim in amazement. Even Mu Yan looks up, unable to take her eyes off it. Chapter 977. In Mu Yan's eyes, this kind of magic treasure that can change size and fly is like a miracle. Miss, are you really not coming with me to Misty Cloud sect? Wei Zi is worried and reluctant to let go of Mu Yan's hand, her eyes red. Isn't it better if we go to Misty Cloud's sect together? Alright, didn't I say I wouldn't cry? Why are you crying again? Mu Yan wipes her tears and smiles. Your master is already waiting for you, go quickly. Wei Zi wipes her tears and reluctantly sits on the Misty Clouds sect master's small flying boat. Misty Clouds sect is a small sect, so the flying magic treasure they take out is certainly not very imposing. But Mu Yan is still excited when she sees Wei Zi sitting on it and disappearing into the sky. In a while, she will also sit on a flying magic treasure. She doesn't know what it feels like to fly in the sky like this. Yen, let's go too. Shi Qing's lazy voice comes into her ears. Mu Yan immediately comes back to herself and looks at Shi Qing expectantly. Master, what is our flying magic treasure? Flying sword. Godly traveling 1,000 miles boat. Or, spiritual light carpet. Flying magic treasure. Shi Qing looks at her inexplicably. Are you dreaming? Our sect is so poor, how can we afford to buy a flying magic treasure? If you really want a mount, here, this donkey, master will let you ride for a while. Mu Yan's face stiffens, and she slowly turns to look at the bald donkey that Shi Qing is pointing at. Under Shi Qing's beckoning, it lazily and slowly walks forward, its thin body slanting every 2 steps, as if it will fall at any time. Mu Yan swallows. Let's take this back to the sect. Yes. The cute youth Lan Luoyu jumps out from nowhere, grabs Mu Yan's sleeve, and says excitedly, Senior sister, don't worry. Don't think that green hair looks sick, it's actually very powerful. Even if it carries a person, it can go very fast, and this place is very close to the Xiaoyao sect. When Master and I came here, it only took us half a month. Mu Yan only feels her vision go dark. Only half a month, and it's very close. She doesn't give up and asks again, is there no flying magic treasure in the sect? Even if it's just a small boat. How is that possible? Luo Yuk shook her head like a rattle drum without hesitation. That flying magic treasure is too expensive, and it costs a lot of crystals to maintain. The crystal stones used to nurture flying magic treasures are enough for our sect to chew for several years. Senior sister, don't say any more. Let's go, or else we won't be able to reach the cheapest inn before nightfall. Mu Yen, is it too late for her to leave this sect now? Ha 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 ha, Junmu riding a donkey back, to think that you would have such a day, ha 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 ha. Qi Huang's gloating laughter resounded in his mind. You don't even have a flying magic treasure, riding a donkey, ha 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 ha, Qi Huang. Mu Yen grits her teeth. Do you really want to try the itchy zither set again? Seven Brilliance's laughter came to an abrupt halt. He then said indignantly, Bastard, you only know how to use this to threaten me. Isn't it because you're useless? Up until now, you still haven't repaired the Tian Mo Qin. Otherwise, the Tian Mo Qin itself would be the best flight-type magical weapon. Mayan sneers and says, if you have the ability, then tell me where the materials to repair the Tian Mo Qin are. If you don't have the ability, then shut up. Chapter 978. Following that, she saw a red-dressed youth rolling on the grass. As he rolled, he laughed loudly. Junmu riding a donkey, green hair's bald donkey, ha 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 ha. Mu Yen gritted her teeth. She would remember this and settle it all at once. Without a flying treasure, Mu Yen could only follow Shiqing and Luoyu back to the sect. Originally, Mu Yen would rather die than sit on green hair's bald donkey. However, she could not resist Shiqing and Luoyu's enthusiasm, so she could only grit her teeth and sit on it. This made Qi Huang in the space laugh to the point of tears. As Mu Yen was thinking of how to teach this annoying item spirit a lesson, she suddenly felt a strange gaze from the sky. She looked up and saw the mountain-breaking sex flying treasure take off. The mountain-breaking sex flying treasure was very special. It was a luxurious boat pulled by a flying spiritual beast, the Golden Rock. And Lu Ruoxuan, who was standing at the bow of the boat, was looking down at her. Her eyes were filled with pity and slight disdain. Her eyes seemed to say, so what if you performed well in the sect selection? In the end, he still entered such a broken sect that did not even have a flying magic treasure. It was really pitiful and sad. Mu Yen was inexplicably unhappy. After Qian Feng vomited blood and fainted, the Leaf Fire sect hurriedly took him away. They did not even recruit a single disciple. But because of Qian Feng's departure, the Bright Moon sect was released. When these Bright Moon sect disciples learned that Lu Ruoxuan had become Jiang Dehai's disciple, a few secretly went to find Lu Ruoxuan, hoping to enter the mountain-breaking sect's inner sect. Who knew that Lu Ruoxuan would pretend not to know them and let the mountain-breaking sect disciples chase them away? When Wu Fangyi learned of this, she was furious and brought the Bright Moon sect disciples to argue with Lu Ruoxuan. It was unknown what Lu Ruoxuan said, but the mountain-breaking sect disciples felt that Lu Ruoxuan had been bullied, so they taught Wu Fangyi a lesson. Before Wu Fangyi left, she went to see Mu Yen and kowtowed to apologize, saying that the Bright Moon sect had wronged Mu Yen in the past. Mu Yen could not be bothered with them, so she got Weizi to chase them away. Before Wu Fangyi left, she said, one day, she will make Lu Ruoxuan pay the price. Mu Yen was not interested in the Bright Moon sect's grudges, but Lu Ruoxuan wanted to show off in front of her. Heh, what the hell is this woman? She's giving off a horrible stench. Suddenly, she heard Qi Huang's disgusted voice, Little Phoenix, what are you doing? Go and command that ugly rock. You must make that group of ugly things and that disgusting woman live a life worse than death. When Chiu heard this, he immediately shook his wings and said excitedly, beautiful sister, just you wait, Chiu will go and vent your anger for you immediately. Chiu has long disliked this stinky woman. With that, Chiu rushed out of the space and shot up into the sky like a meteor. The speed of the phoenix was simply too fast. There was only a streak of red light streaking across the sky. No one would notice the existence of Cho Cho. The ball flew to the body of the golden-winged rock. It was unknown what it did, but it quickly flew back. Just as she entered the space, Mu Yen heard screams coming from the distant sky. TSK, TSK, TSK. Judging from the direction and distance of the sound, it should be in the boundless swamp of the Mirror Moon mountain range. Chapter 979. Sixth sister, look, I dug out 2 steamed buns from Master's place, for you to eat. Looking at the youngster presenting the 2 black steamed buns to her like a treasure, the corner of Mayan's mouth twitches. The problem is, these are really just ordinary steamed buns, not some kind of spiritual food. She feels that she has to have a new understanding of the poverty of the sect. Although she's lamenting in her heart, Mayan still takes the steamed bun and naturally takes a bite. The steamed bun is dry and rough, it doesn't taste good at all, but Mayan doesn't dislike it. Seeing her like this, Luo Yu immediately grins, revealing 2 sharp little canine teeth. It's really indescribably cute. Mayan touches his head and hands him the remaining steamed bun. Luo Yu happily holds the steamed bun, gnawing on it like a little rabbit. Little senior, I'm telling you, I haven't eaten delicious food for a long time. If little Marshall uncle doesn't come back soon, we'll all starve to death. Little senior, have you ever eaten fragrant roe deer meat? Have you ever eaten crisp wolf leg? Slurp. I really want to eat it. Mayan's mind suddenly recalls the table after table of delicacies that Di Mingju personally cooked in the Yinwu continent. Her saliva unconsciously overflows. Di Mingju's craftsmanship is really getting better and better, even her own appetite has been spoiled by him. She clearly isn't the type of person to satisfy everyone's cravings, but now, besides Di Mingju's dishes, she feels that she can't eat anything else. Only, Mayan can't help but raise her head and look at the distant sky. When will she see Di Mingju again? There's also that fairy who claims to be Di Mingju's fiancé. She doesn't know where this man provoked such a romantic debt. When they meet, she must ask him properly. Xiuxian continent. Achoo! Di Mingju, who has just opened his eyes from his cultivation, suddenly sneezes. His 2 sword-like eyebrows are wrinkled enough to kill a fly. He abruptly stands up and strides towards the door of the Soul Cultivation House. Jun Shang. Oh, what are you doing now? Elder Chang throws himself at Di Mingju while crying his heart out. He hugs Di Mingju's thigh and says in a tearful voice, "Didn't you already promise that you'll stay in the Soul Recovery House to recuperate properly, and only leave when you're completely healed?" Di Mingju says coldly, "Get out, Ben Jun wants to see Mayan." "Jun, you can't wait any longer." Elder Chang was on the verge of tears. "I've already divined for Miss Jun. Miss Jun has already passed her tribulation and is now very safe. This subordinate dares to guarantee with his life that nothing will happen to Miss Jun." Di Mingju looks with Jun with a cold gaze of his eyes. Of Jun will Jun one. Jun said. Jun he. Ming to walk. And starts. Elder Chang promptly pounces over, and hugs Di Mingju's leg once again. "Since you know that Miss Jun is fine, why do you still insist on looking for her right now?" Jun, of Jun of hearing that Mayan will be sad, Di Mingju's footsteps stop. But his brows are still tightly knitted, and he says coldly, "Ben Jun can feel that Yen Yen is thinking of Ben Jun." Chapter 980. Di Mingju lowers his head and coldly looks at him. Ben Jun doesn't care. "No matter what, I must see Yen Yen." Or do you think that this insignificant soul cultivation house can hold Ben Jun? As soon as Di Mingju's last words come out, Elder Chang immediately quivers and shivers. In order to prevent Di Mingju from leaving the soul cultivation house, Elder Chang, Han Yi, Xing Lang, and the others have indeed set up layer after layer of barriers outside the soul cultivation house. They're afraid that Jun Shang will disregard his own safety and insist on going to the Xiuxia continent to find Mayan. But Elder Chang didn't expect that Di Mingju acts as if he doesn't know anything, but in fact, he knows everything very clearly. His face is pale, his body trembles slightly, and he can't help but sneak a glance at the corner. Han Yi and the others hiding in the corner can only come out, trembling with fear, and kneel in front of Di Mingju. Jun Shang, I beg you to protect your body. Miss Jun cares about you so much, she likes you so much. If she finds out that you went to look for her without recuperating, she would certainly blame herself. Han Yi earnestly says. The corner of Di Mingju's mouth hooks up into a gentle smile. The coldness in his eyes seems to have disappeared without a trace when he said, Miss Jun cares about you so much, she likes you so much. But very quickly, he sneers, do you think that Ben Jun can spare you by bringing up Mayan? Han Yi quivers and shudders, his face collapsing. He thought that he could successfully deceive them. 1 month. Di Mingju slowly says, if Ben Jun doesn't see Mayan within 1 month, then you'll have to wait for 10 years to not leave the purgatory pool. Don't. Han Yi is the first to scream, this subordinate has just come out of the purgatory pool. Elder Chang, Ying Mei, and the others are also distressed, at their wits' end. Di Mingju is too lazy to care about them. He returns to the only stone bed in the room and sits down. His fingers gently stroke the lines on his palm, and he softly murmurs, Yen Yen, wait for me, I'll come find you soon. Suddenly, Di Mingju remembers something. He raises his head and says coldly, Ling Qingwan's matter, how's it going? Elder Chang regained his senses and quickly put away his bitter expression. He replied respectfully, don't worry, Your Majesty. The entire Xiuxian continent already knows that you don't have a fiancé. That Ling Qingwan and the Tianyi men even offended the polar domain. Now, they're like street rats that everyone wants to beat up. But strangely, after Ling Yuexia came out of seclusion, she unexpectedly didn't remove Ling Qingwan's position as Tianyi men's young master. Instead, she wholeheartedly supported her. As Elder Chang spoke, a gossipy look appeared on his face. This subordinate once heard that Ling Qingwan was sect master Ling's illegitimate daughter. I'm afraid that this matter isn't far from the truth. TSK, Tianyi men is as dirty and chaotic as ever. Di Mingju isn't interested in the Tianyi men's privacy. He's only concerned about whether or not he would let his Mayan suffer the slightest bit of grievance. In the future, if there's another Tom, Dick, or Harry woman who says she's Ben Jun's fiancé, do you know what to do? Di Mingju coldly sweeps over with a knife-like gaze. The people below him immediately shivered and promised, don't worry, Jun Shang, we promise to clear away all obstacles for you, so that you can peacefully marry Miss Jun. Chapter 981. Xiuxian Continent, Auction House. Ling Qingwan and her maidservant have just bid for the spirit grass and are about to leave. Suddenly, someone bumps into them, and the veil on her face falls down. Yo, come and take a look at who this is. Isn't this the young master of Tianyi men, one of the 4 great beauties of Xiuxian Continent, Qingwan Xianzi? You're wrong, don't you know that Qingwan Xianzi has already been expelled from the 4 great beauties? Hehe, what qualifications does a woman disliked by Di Jun of Polar Domain have to be called one of the 4 great beauties? What's more, look at her face, it doesn't look very moving, does it? Compared to the other 3 great beauties, she doesn't even deserve to carry their shoes. Ling Qingwan's complexion turns green and white. She points at the people who are humiliating her, gnashing her teeth. You, don't go too far. How did we go too far? Someone sneers. At that time, your Tiani men relied on the support of Polar Domain to strut around. Why didn't you think you went too far? Now that the tables have turned, you say we went too far. With her appearance and aptitude, she dares to take a portrait of Di Jun. Bah, truly shameless. Tian Men's vitality was greatly damaged in the war 1,000 years ago, and it was already a third-rate sect. Thanks to the care of Polar Domain, it was able to gain a firm foothold in Shushan continent. Who would have thought that this woman not only doesn't know gratitude, but also spread rumors that she is the future mistress of Polar Domain, tarnishing Di Jun's innocence, and even provoking internal strife in Polar Domain. Now that she has ended up in this state, she really deserves it. Each sentence of ridicule is more unpleasant than the last, reaching Ling Qingwan's ears. What makes her even more furious is that these people are belittling her appearance. Clearly, a few months ago, she was still the Qingwan Xianzi that everyone admires, the future mistress of Polar Domain. Clearly, she was one of the 4 great beauties, the most beautiful and outstanding woman in Shushan continent. Why? Why did everything change in just a few months? It's all because she lost Di Mingju's love. Ling Qingwan madly pushes through the crowd, flying into the sky. Like a stray dog, she flees back to Tiananmen. At the entrance of the trade fair, everyone points at her as she leaves, full of disdain and disgust. There were also people who fantasized that if the Supreme Emperor didn't like Ling Qingwan, what kind of fairy-like woman would he like? Could it be the other 3 of the Shushan continent 4 great beauties? When Ling Qingwan returned to Tiananmen, she rushed into her room and smashed everything in the room. No, I can't go on like this. I have to go find Di Mingju. I want to win back his favor. Ling Qingwan muttered nervously, pretending to be crazy. Back when the emperor doted on me, how glorious was I? How envied was I by others? It's all because of that slut, Jun Mayan. She seduced the emperor and caused me to lose his favor. But now that that bitch is dead, as long as I can attract the monarch's attention again and win back her favor, all the glory she once had will be mine. Yes, I'm going to find Di Jun and tell him that that slut Jun Mayan is already dead. From now on, he can only dote on me. The more Ling Qingwan spoke, the crazier she became. Soon after, her eyes reddened and she was about to rush out. However, just as she rushed to the door, she was stopped by someone. The man raised his hand and gave her a slap. Ling Qingwan was sent flying several meters away. She fell to the ground and couldn't get up for a long time. Chapter 982. Ling Yuexia sneers, if I didn't hit you, how could you wake up? But master, Di Jun should have been mine, but he didn't want me anymore. Ling Yuexia's expression is extremely cold. She steps forward and ruthlessly kicks Ling Qingwan in the chest. You idiot, if you weren't me, I would have already killed you with my sword. Ling Qingwan suddenly spits out a mouthful of blood from this kick, her deathly pale face immediately revealing fear. Master, spare me, this disciple knows she was wrong. Ling Yuexia grits her teeth and says, I clearly told you that if you found the whereabouts of the Shin musician's successor, you must inform me in advance. But you, not only did you not inform me, you also acted on your own. In the end, not only did you not obtain the Shin musician's inheritance, you even offended the Polar Domain, offended Di Jun Ling Qingwan. If someone else had done such a thing, believe it or not, I would have immediately dismembered their body into 10,000 pieces. Ling Qingwan shivers, but she doesn't dare to say a word of rebuttal. Of course, she doesn't dare to say that she was blinded by jealousy, and she doesn't dare to say that she wants to monopolize the Shin musician's inheritance. Ling Yuexia takes a deep breath, now that things have come to this, it's useless to say more. Now, the only way for you to turn things around is to climb into Di Jun's bed and gain his favor. Hearing that, Ling Qingwan suddenly raises her head, her face full of hope. Master, do you have a way for me to regain Di Jun's favor? Do you have a way for me in Di Jun? Ling Yuexia slowly reaches out and touches Ling Qingwan's face, her gaze deep and terrifying. Master will definitely let you get what you want. The wish that Master couldn't fulfill back then, now I will definitely let you achieve it. Master, Qingwan knows that you love Qingwan the most. Ling Qingwan's excited body slightly trembles. Master, quickly tell me, what method do you have? Ling Yuexia sneers. Since ancient times, men have always valued lust the most. Why can Jun Mayan get Di Jun's favor? Isn't it because she has a foxy face that could cause the downfall of a state? Just like that shameless Shin musician who seduced men back then. When Ling Yuexia said the last sentence, she gnashed her teeth, as if she couldn't wait to eat the flesh of a Shin musician. But very quickly, she calms down. Meeting Ling Qingwan's expectant gaze, she faintly smiles and says, Master has a secret recipe in my hands. As long as you collect enough rare elixirs and immortal herbs, you can change your appearance and become a peerless beauty. You can even become 70 to 80% similar to the deceased Jun Mayan. When the time comes, you'll have such a stunning appearance. Do you think Di Mingju wouldn't be tempted? Ling Qingwan stared blankly for a moment when she heard that. Then, her eyes suddenly widened as wild joy surged within her. Master, is what you said true? You can really make this disciple become as stunning as Jun Mayan. Ling Yuexia glanced at her and smiled coldly. When have I ever lied to you? However, this secret recipe requires a lot of elixirs, which can only be found in the cultivation continent. Immediately order the sects under you to find him at all costs. Yes. Don't worry, Master. Disciple will send someone to pass down the order. These sects have been under the protection of my Tiani men all year round, and are also under our control with goo worms. They absolutely wouldn't dare to have the slightest bit of disloyalty. As long as Disciple gives the order, they will definitely do their utmost to find him. Chapter 983. Mu Yan's group of 3, as well as the bald donkey, traveled for more than half a month before they finally arrived at the Tianxian Mountains, where the Xiaoyao school was located. Along the way, listening to Luo Yu's incessant chatter, Mu Yan already knew that the Xiaoyao sect was a very, very poor sect. However, when she truly saw her own sect's encampment, Mayan was still thoroughly shocked. Little senior sister, we're finally here. Luo Yu rushed to Mayan's side excitedly, hugging her and shaking her hands. The young man's canine teeth and 2 deep dimples appeared, making him look even cuter. But Mayan looks in the direction that Luo Yu is pointing at, but she doesn't see any buildings that look like the encampment of a sect. Where is there a sect? There are only a few thatched cottages over there. She looked again and again. There really wasn't any sect encampment, only a few dilapidated thatched cottages that would sway in the wind and rain. Well, although this thatched hut was built in a ring shape with a 2-story wooden house in the middle, it looked more imposing than an ordinary farmhouse. But no matter how imposing it was still a thatched hut. Mu Yan turns to look at Luo Yu. Luo Yu blinked her eyes and said innocently, those thatched cottages are the base of our Xiaoyao school. Once again, Mu Yan feels her vision going black. She steadied herself and asked, unwilling to give up, is this the branch of the Xiaoyao sect? No, the carefree sect doesn't have a branch, so this is the only place we have. Mu Yan gritted her teeth. But the Xiaoyao sect is a sect. How many people can live in those thatched cottages? She paused and asked suspiciously, don't tell me that there are only the 3 of us in the entire sect. How is that possible? Luo Yu immediately retorted. The sect has youngest martial uncle, eldest martial brother, second martial brother, third martial brother. Stop. Mu Yan interrupted him. Just tell me, how many people are there in the sect? Luo Yu grinned, revealing his signature cute smile, including senior sister. There are already 9 of us. Ah, 6th senior martial sister, you don't know, but before you came, the Xiaoyao school hadn't had a new disciple for a long time. Mu Yan simply wants to raise her head and ask the heavens, speechless. 9 people. So many. Heavens, is this really a sect? He was also the king of the mountain who had gathered together to become a bandit. Wait a minute, even if they were bandits, it was impossible for there to be only 9 people. However, Luo Yu was still calling out to her excitedly. 6th senior sister, hurry up. I've already used the communication amulet to inform senior brother and senior sister that I've brought back beautiful senior sister. Big senior brother and the rest will definitely prepare good food. We can't let master take them all. Mayan looks up to the sky and sighs, all right. This was the sect that she had chosen herself, so even if she had to kneel down, she had to stay. Seeing Luo Yu excitedly running into a pile of thatched huts, Mayan could only lead the little donkey and leisurely follow. The closer she got to the thatched hut, the more she saw the crumbling plaque with the words Xiaoyao sect written on it. Mu Yan sighed again. Didn't they say that appearance was very important? No wonder no one has entered the Xiaoyao sect for so many years. Chapter 984. Before Mayan even enters the door, she hears her master's panting voice. Then comes Luo Yu's heart-wrenching complaint, Master, a communication talisman is worth 3 low-grade crystals. It wasn't easy for your disciple to draw 3, and I've already used one. I really have to use another one. I don't know if I can draw it as well next time. Shiqing angrily says, then you go and cook for your master. Luo Yu spreads her hands, I saw, there's no rice, there's not even a vegetable leaf in the kitchen. What's more, master, you've already abstained from eating, there's no difference whether you eat or not. Shiqing raises his hand to hit her, you unfilial disciple, even if your master abstains from eating, I'll still miss good food. Mayan looks at the empty sect, her heart full of nothing to live for. There's not even a vegetable leaf, this is just too poor. Just then, there's a sudden clamor outside the house. Then, the door of the thatched hut vibrates, pitifully swaying, as if it could fall at any time. A few figures rushed in one after another, making a ruckus as they rushed in. Second brother, it's all your fault, you can't even catch a blue and white deer. It's not easy for us to get a pretty junior sister, what if she starves? That fourth brother also flattened the wind. Wind spirit spore. There's not even residue left. Alright, stop quarreling. In a while, when the new junior sister comes, it'll be a joke, oh. The doors open, master and the others have already returned. A strong wind blows into the house, and the dust inside rustles down. Mayan quickly sees the people rushing in. The leader is a square-faced youth with thick eyebrows and big eyes. He looks to be around 30 years old, and his appearance can only be considered ordinary, but his whole body exudes an awe-inspiring and calm aura. This should be the most reliable senior brother, Yun Ruhan, that Luo Yu often mentions. Following behind Yun Ruhan is a tall and sturdy man, and a handsome and beautiful youth. As soon as these 3 people appear, Mayan's heart slightly shudders. She has always known that this cheap master of hers, Shiqing, has a very high cultivation. But perhaps it's because the difference in cultivation level between her and Shiqing is too great. Therefore, other than when Shiqing revealed his strength, she could not feel how powerful this master of hers was. He had even forgotten that he was an expert that struck fear into Qian Feng the moment he made a move, because he had seen his sloppy appearance all the time, and had even forgotten that he was an expert that struck fear into Qian Feng's heart. But today, when these three people appeared, Mu Yan immediately felt the vigorous and smooth spiritual power flowing around them. None of these three people's cultivation was lower than his. Especially that tall and sturdy man. Mu Yan had a feeling that even if she went all out, she might not necessarily be able to defeat him. There were only 9 people in the Xiaoyao sect. All 3 of them were at least at the stage of fasting, and they were all young people with outstanding talent. Was the Xiaoyao sect really just an ordinary sect? Mu Yan is sizing up the 3 people coming in. Shi Qing stroked his beard and said with a smile, "Yan Yan, you're a little older than Luo Yu and you're the 6th child. Come and meet your senior brothers." Luo Yu had already pounced over and hugged the eldest senior brother's arm, saying excitedly, "Eldest senior brother, 2nd senior brother, 4th senior sister, look. Look. This is the beautiful senior sister that Master and I recruited with great difficulty." Chapter 985. Mu Yan has only met them for the first time, so it's natural for her to be probed and alienated. She doesn't take it to heart at all. But she didn't hear clearly that Luo Yu said, 4th sister. She just inexplicably feels that the handsome youth's gaze on her is particularly sharp, as if he wants to peel her apart and carefully observe her. Mu Yan is thinking, it seems that this senior brother doesn't have any good intentions towards her. Unexpectedly, the other party suddenly shows a bright smile and pounces over like a hungry tiger. "Oh, great, it really isn't the little white flower that I hate the most. Master, you really know me too well, you actually sent me such a beautiful and delicious junior sister." Mu Yan didn't expect that this person's face changes faster than flipping a book. Caught off guard, she was actually hugged by him. Then, her face is wet and hot, she was actually kissed by someone. Mu Yan is about to flare up, but suddenly, a refreshing fragrance burrows into Mu Yan's nose. Because the handsome youth is too close, her hand can feel the youth's soft chest. Soft chest. Mu Yan blinks and looks at the beautiful youth who is hugging her neck. "You're a woman." Cough, cough, cough. Shi Qing coughs again and again, looking very embarrassed. "This is your 4th sister, Lang Yuma. She likes to fool around the most, ignore her." 4th sister Lang Yuma immediately says with dissatisfaction, "Master, don't slander me in front of the beautiful junior sister. Junior sister, from now on, senior sister will take care of you. Let's sleep on the same bed at night. We can also bathe together, and senior sister can help you scrub your back. He he he." Mu Yan looks at the cross-dressing 4th sister revealing such a wretched smile, and silently takes a step back. She takes back what she just said about the Xiaoyao school not being simple. "This is your eldest senior brother Yun Ruhan, and your 2nd senior brother Qin Zhou." Ling Yuma immediately moves closer, hooks her arms around Mu Yan's neck, and says with a smile, "Don't call him 2nd senior brother, just call him Barbarian Bull. He's just a stupid bull with empty martial strength." Not at all. Qin Zhou blushes and tries to refute, I'm smarter than a bull, I can even kill a mad bull." After Qin Zhou finished speaking, he seemed to realize how stupid his words were. His face could not help but turn red and he lowered his head in shame. Because of his stuttering, his tone of speech, and his silly personality, he was always mocked by others. Today, when a new junior sister entered the sect, he wanted to perform well. Who knew that the more he performed, the uglier he became? However, Mu Yan smiled slightly, without the slightest bit of disdain on his face. He respectfully called out, "2nd senior brother." When Qin Zhou heard this, she was stunned for a moment. Then, a silly smile blossomed on her face. Hey, little junior sister, wait, I will go and prepare dinner for you." After saying that, he blew away like a gust of wind. During this time, a cheerful and deep laughter could be heard in the air. Little junior sister called me second senior brother, hee hee. Second senior brother, Mu Yan rubbed her nose. Didn't she just call him second senior brother? Was he that excited? When she turned around, she saw eldest senior brother and fourth senior sister looking at her with deep eyes. Ling Yuma bluntly asked, Don't you think that barbarian bull is stupid and unsophisticated?" Mu Yan smiled and slowly said, "Fourth senior sister, would you think that someone stronger than you is stupid and unsophisticated?" Chapter 986. Master, you've finally done something good this time. You've brought back such a cute junior sister. Shirqing glared at them. "Get lost. Take it easy. If you scare her away, I'll beat you to death." Yun Ruhan stepped forward and looked at Mayan warmly. "Junior sister, welcome to the Xiaoyao sect. I'll take you to your residence first. Xiao Qi, UMO, go and help second brother." In the Xiaoyao sect, Yun Ruhan's prestige seemed to be very high. Although Luo Yu and Leng Umo didn't want to let Mayan go, they obediently went to the kitchen when they heard Yun Ruhan's order. "Eldest senior brother, is there anyone else in the sect?" Mayan asked as they walked. If she remembered correctly, Luo Yu said that there were 9 people in the Xiaoyao sect. But now, including herself, Mayan only saw 6. Yun Ruhan smiled. "Junior master went out to train and hasn't returned yet. There's also your third senior brother, Chu Moli. He likes peace and he's not in good health, so he couldn't come out to welcome you." Yun Ruhan didn't continue after talking about the third senior brother. Mayan couldn't help but ask, "What about fifth senior brother?" "Fifth brother, he." Yun Ruhan revealed an awkward and troubled expression. She glanced at Mayan. "Fifth brother is a little special." Before Yun Ruhan could finish her sentence, a wooden door opened with a creak not too far away. A soft, androgynous voice came from inside. "Eldest senior brother, how am I special?" Mayan was thinking that this fifth senior brother's voice was even more feminine and pleasant than Lan Luoyu's. Could it be that he's also an immature youth? From the wooden door, a beautiful girl walked out. She wore a cloth dress with golden hairpins and jingling ornaments. The girl was tall and slender, and her appearance was beautiful beyond compare. When she slowly walked out of the house into the sunlight, her skin was as white as snow and her eyebrows were like a painting. That peerless appearance was actually not inferior to Mu Yan's by much. Mayan was dumbfounded as she looked at the beautiful girl walking in front of her. He looked down at him and then laughed coldly. "What does Master in 7 mean? How could you find such a beautiful woman? Do you think that I am not beautiful enough and can't hold up the face of the Xiaoyao sect? Tomorrow I will go to the foot of the mountain to buy some rouge and face powder. I want to see who is the most beautiful person in the Xiaoyao sect." Cough, cough, cough. Yun Ruhan coughed repeatedly. "Fifth junior brother, you're already beautiful enough. You don't need to dress up anymore. You really don't have to dress up anymore." When the beautiful girl heard this, she fiercely glared at Mu Yan. "Let me tell you, don't be complacent. I won't lose to you in terms of beauty, Ling Yuxing, enough." Yun Ruhan berated him loudly. "We don't even have crystals to eat in the sect, so how can we let you buy makeup?" This is the newly arrived 6th junior sister Jun Mayan, still not coming over to greet her properly. Ling Yuxing is unwilling, but due to the majesty of the eldest senior brother, he still nods towards Mayan with a taut face. Then he snorts, turns around and slams the door. Mayan's soul has left her body. After a long while, she came back to her senses and asked with difficulty, that is 5th senior brother?" Wait a minute. That's obviously a beautiful girl, okay? How could it be fifth senior brother? Chapter 987. But this fifth brother. No matter how she looked at fifth senior brother, from left to right, no matter how she looked at him, he was a beautiful and charming woman. Wait, just now, she seems to have seen an Adam's apple sliding up and down the throat of the beautiful girl. Although it's not obvious, so, is fifth brother really a man? And a man who likes to dress up as a woman, and completely thinks of himself as a beauty? Mayan feels like she's in a mess. What kind of strange sect did she enter? Yun Ruhan coughs a few times in embarrassment. Well, fifth brother has always thought of himself as a woman since he was a child. You don't lower yourself to his level. Well, little sister, you rest for a while. I'll call you again when it's time for dinner. After saying that, he pushes Mayan into one of the small rooms and flees. After the shock, Mayan calms down. She doesn't think that it's surprising that fifth brother has such a hobby. She remembers seeing it in Bailey Liuin's notes. In her era, it was normal for boys to look like women or girls to look like men. Some men think of themselves as women from a young age, and that seems to be a gender barrier. Even in Bailey Liuin's original world, men falling in love with men, and women falling in love with women, are all recognized. Mayan shakes her head, throwing the shock and amazement to the back of her mind. She begins to look around her room. Her room isn't big, and the furnishings are very simple. However, she can see that it's been well cleaned and arranged. Although this Xiaoyao sect is poor and very strange, Mayan doesn't feel repulsed here. Instead, she feels an inexplicable warmth. She has never felt this kind of warmth and harmony since she came to the Shuzhen continent. She thinks for a moment, takes out a piece of paper and ink from her space, and slowly writes on it frowny face Xiaoyao sect, master, Shiqing, unfathomable cultivation. Eldest brother, Yun Ruhan, dignified and calm, like the head of the family. Second brother, Qin Zhou, simple and honest, with extraordinary strength. Third brother, Chu Moli, has a stubborn disease, and lives alone. Fourth sister, Leng Yuma, bold and cheerful, likes to dress up as a man. Fifth brother, Ling Yuxing, a man's body, but a woman's heart. Seventh brother, Lan Luoyu, cute Xiao Qi. Mayan pauses, then writes the three words, junior uncle. The one that Luoyu often mentioned, the one that was outstanding and had an appearance that was comparable to that of a deity. What kind of person was he? At this time, Mu Yan still doesn't know that in the near future, the Xiaoyao sect would create a huge wave in the cultivation world, and even the cultivation world. One day, the name of Unfettered Seven would become the most dreadful existence in the hearts of cultivators, along with the name of the Nether Fire Legion. At dinner time, Mayan was dragged to the kitchen by Luoyu. She had thought that the poor Xiaoyao school would be happy to have rice and vegetables. But the delicacies on the table were beyond her expectations. There were a few plates of fragrant roasted meat on the table, as well as a rich and fragrant soup that exuded the aura of spirit energy. There were even 2 bowls of rice steamed from spiritual grains on the table. When Mu Yan and Luoyu entered, the eldest senior brother Yun Ruhan, the second senior brother Qin Zhou, and the fourth senior sister Leng Yuma were already in the kitchen, staring at the table full of dishes and swallowing their saliva. There was another person in the room. It was a pale-faced youth. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.